Chapter 3150. Looking for Trouble. Jiang Wuhan. When Lin Ling arrived, he had also heard of this name. He is very fierce. When I was young, he went to the Azure province and even dared to confront the Azure Emperor. It was because of him that the Azure Emperor didn't attack me. Afterwards, when I grew up, he never came again. The third princess explained as she led Lin Ling forwards. His current cultivation is at the 4th level of half-saint, and he is the #1 genius of the Sky Province. The reason his return is so grand is because he has already left the Sky Province for several years. He has wandered the world and fought with the geniuses of the 9 provinces. I also heard that he went to the divine dreamland of the U province and fought with the half-saint powerhouses of the 9 provinces. Master, outside of the Azure province and Sky province, are there really gods? The third princess continued to ask. Maybe there are and maybe there aren't. Lin Ling shrugged his shoulders, not minding. I see. But master, if I reach the half-saint realm, do you think I will be able to leave the Azure province? I also want to see just how strong the half-saint powerhouses of the 9 provinces are. I heard that the most mysterious half-saint powerhouses of the 9 provinces are the Flame Province and Miao Province. I wonder if Schweb will have the chance to see them in her life. The third princess said with some yearning. The half-saint powerhouses of the 9 provinces are also like this. It's just a rumor, don't take it too seriously. Lin Ling thought back to the divine dreamland. He had controlled the divine boat with a single step, causing tens of thousands of half-saint powerhouses to kneel before him. He suddenly felt that the half-saint powerhouses of the 9 provinces were only SO. Master is still the fiercest. Hearing this, the third princess smiled. Of course, she also took Lin Ling's words as comforting words. After all, she guessed that no matter how fierce her master was, he shouldn't have fought with the half-saint powerhouses of the 9 provinces. Not long after, the two of them arrived at a vast square. The square was bustling with noise and excitement. Everyone from the Jiang family was present. Moreover, the hidden powerhouses of the Sky Province were also gathered here. Clamor after clamor rang out one after another. The master of the Jiang family was seated at the head of the table. He was a powerhouse of the 10th heaven of the half-saint realm. He was tall and sturdy, like a ferocious tiger. In fact, his left arm had the mark of a ferocious tiger on its forehead. This was obviously a big shot from Tianzhou. If they went to Qingzhou, unless the Azure Dharch used his ancient strength, he wouldn't be able to withstand a single finger from the Jiang clan head. Beside him was a young man with a flame mark on his right arm. Many people looked at him with admiration and yearning. And he was naturally Jiang Wuhan. Under the lead of the third princess, Lin Ling also sat down in a corner of the square. Returning from this trip to the divine dreamland has truly broadened my horizons. In the 9 provinces, there is no strongest, only stronger. I always thought that I was an outstanding half-saint powerhouse, but after coming into contact with the powerhouses of the 9 provinces, I can only sigh as a frog at the bottom of a well. Jiang Wuhan smiled as he looked at the crowd. Even though he said that, the way everyone looked at him was still the same, full of admiration. Big brother Wuhan, did you see the top genius of the divine lands? A young man curiously asked. As these words fell, the square fell silent. Even the Jiang family head looked at Jiang Wuhan with curiosity. I saw them. Not only did I see the top half-saint talent of the Cloud Province, but I also saw the top half-saint talent of the Flame Province. His name is Triplet, and his strength can be called a peak saint. I fear that in our Sky Province, besides the Heavenly Emperor, no one is his match. Wow, he's so fierce. Of course, he comes from the Flame Province. That place is not a place where ordinary people can enter. Moreover, I also saw a genius from the Miao Province. She is a beautiful woman called Nighthawk. With a wave of her hand, she can create enchantments that can shake the myriad worlds. TSK, the divine dreamland is truly a place where powerhouses come from. As everyone heard this, their spirits soared. Their hearts seemed to float towards the 9 provinces. But the most terrifying of all is the son of the demon. However, Jiang Wuhan's next words caused the square to fall even more silent. It has to be known that the son of the demon and the others were only at the early half-saint realm. However, these people appeared out of nowhere and suppressed half-saints with a single step. As Jiang Wuhan finished speaking, his expression was dignified. There was always someone stronger, a mountain beyond a mountain. In the Sky Province, he thought that he could look down on all the mountains and create countless miracles. However, When he went to the 9 provinces, he discovered that he was only at the foot of a mountain. When it came to miracles, others were the true great miracles, turning the impossible into the possible. Son of the demon? In the Cloud province, I also heard of these people. I heard that there was a son of the demon, a son of the dragon, a son of bone, and even someone called you die in hell. These people are truly amazing. They have played the elders of the 9 provinces in circles. Ah! An old man cried out in alarm. He was clearly a martial artist that had wandered the 9 provinces. You die in hell. This name is too strange. Ah! Laughter immediately spread out from the square. They are so strong that they can name themselves whatever they want. They have this freedom. However, the old man solemnly said. His words made everyone not dare to be too presumptuous. Powerhouses had the dignity of powerhouses. This was not something they could mock. You die in hell? Master, this name is too funny. In a corner of the square, the 3rd princess also let out a bell-like laughter, which made Lin Ling shake his head helplessly. Actually, you have seen that guy before. His words made the 3rd princess stunned for a moment. Then she shook her head, thinking that her master was just making fun of her. After all, the son of the demon had suppressed the half-saints of the 9 provinces. How could a mere Emperor Qing like her have seen him before? She did not know that she had indeed seen the glory of the setting sun. After the discussion, everyone began to toast each other. Lin Ling glanced at the Jiang family head and found that the Jiang family head was politely toasting Jiang Wuhan. This made him want to make his own request. But at this time, several figures walked over, and the person in the lead was Jiang Feng. Sister Shuiying, the elders of the family are all here today. Don't you think you should apologize? Jiang Feng stared at the 3rd princess as he drank and walked over. Obviously, he deliberately wanted to teach the 3rd princess a lesson. Because all the elders were here today, as long as Jiang Shuiying became the focus, she would naturally be reprimanded. The 3rd princess's face instantly turned ugly. She did not have much status in the Jiang family. Even if she had become Emperor Qing, she would be more of a pawn. Jiang Feng, get lost. Thinking of this, the 3rd princess shouted in a low voice. Haha, aren't you Emperor Qing? Why is the great Emperor Qing afraid of us? Before Jiang Feng could speak, Jiang Yi next to him also spoke. Because he also saw that many people were looking at them, which made him want to humiliate the 3rd princess even more. Of course, humiliating the 3rd princess was one of the reasons. The real reason was that he wanted to humiliate the 3rd princess's master. Don't look for trouble. Get lost. The 3rd princess gritted her teeth and shouted again. If you don't apologize today, you can't leave here. Jiang Feng and the others were obviously not going to let it go. Chapter 3151. Are you the son of a demon? After all, she was just a bastard in the Jiang family and had no status. Sure enough, there were already many dissatisfied voices in the surroundings. They were from the Jiang family's fellow villagers. This must be Jiang Shuiying. After becoming the Azure Emperor, she has grown up. How impudent. If it wasn't for our Jiang family's help, not to mention the Azure Emperor, she would be nothing. Some people are ungrateful and ungrateful. However, Jiang Shuiying thinks too highly of herself. If our Jiang family can help her up, we can also push her down. Those old men said sarcastically, making the 3rd princess furious. However, in order to keep the peace, she decided to apologize. Just as she was about to speak, bang. But the sound of a wine cup smashing on the table immediately came from the side. It was Lin Ling, you pieces of trash. If you don't want to be beaten again, get out of my way. His words not only shocked Jiang Feng and the others, but also the 3rd princess. Yesterday at the Jiang family's gate, because there were no Jiang family elders present, no one was Lin Ling's match. But now, all the Jiang family's experts were gathered here. Do you know where this is? Jiang Feng almost laughed out loud. Splash! However, just as he finished speaking, Lin Ling picked up the wine cup on the table and splashed the wine on Jiang Feng's face. Next time, it won't be as simple as pouring wine. A cold voice sounded at the same time. It could be said that he turned a blind eye to it. How dare you? The surrounding villagers all began to shout angrily. Jiang Feng was stunned on the spot, as if he hadn't expected that Lin Ling would dare to be so arrogant in public. He wiped the wine off his face with his hand and licked it before he said, Kid, don't think that you can do whatever you want just because you're Jiang Shuiying's master. There are many people who are stronger than you here. Jiang Shuiying's master? Hearing that, the surrounding villagers also came to a realization. It seemed that after Jiang Shuiying became the Azure Emperor, her master came to take advantage of her. However, this brat did not know that Jiang Shuiying was able to become the Azure Emperor because of the Jiang clan. Bang! But at this time, Lin Ling waved his right hand, and the wine cup on the table shot out like a cannonball, smashing into Jiang Feng's face and shattering his teeth. I told you, next time it won't be as simple as pouring wine. Lin Ling said indifferently with his eyes still half closed. Wow! Jiang Feng tasted something sweet in his mouth as he spat out a mouthful of blood, along with some broken teeth. This scene immediately attracted the attention of the entire square. No one had expected that the blue-robed youth would be so arrogant that he even dared to humiliate the son of the Jiang clan's patriarch. Jiang Feng, on the other hand, had obviously lost all his face. The spear in his hand immediately appeared. Draw your spear. The moment you draw your spear, even God won't be able to save you. However, Lin Ling was still sitting there. He even poured himself another glass of wine and drank slowly. Jiang Feng, Jiang Yi, and the others shuddered as they recalled what happened yesterday. You have guts. You're amazing. However, this is the Jiang family. You'll definitely be punished by the Jiang family. Even Jiang Shuiying won't be able to save you. The two of them didn't dare to make a move. However, they suddenly thought of something and laughed out loud. Humph, it's just the Jiang family. What's so great about it? Even if the patriarch of the Jiang family were to make a move, I would still dare to pour wine on him. Lin Ling played with the wine glass in his hand as he muttered to himself. As soon as these words came out, everyone in the Jiang family was shocked. Jiang Feng laughed instead. Today, Brother Wuhan is back. All the important figures of the Jiang family are gathered here. How dare you say such words? Do you believe that even if I throw you out of the Jiang family, your brother Wuhan wouldn't dare to speak? Lin Ling smiled, still as calm as ever. Hearing this, Jiang Feng was furious. However, Jiang Yi beside him had already mocked. Who do you think you are? Are you from Yanzhou? Or Miaozhou? I'm afraid this is the first time you've left Qingzhou. I'm not anyone. I'm not from Yanzhou or Miaozhou. I'm Jiang Shuiying's master. Lin Ling drank a mouthful of wine. But in my eyes, whether it is your Jiang family's Jiang Wuhan or the Jiang family's patriarch, they are all nothing but ants. Perhaps the celestial emperor can barely enter my eyes. As soon as these words came out, the people of the Jiang family were not shocked, but enraged. To them, they had never seen such a suicidal person before. Even the third princess covered her mouth with her hands. She wanted to say something, but in the end she held back. Sir, your words are quite bold. At this time, the Jiang family's patriarch finally looked over, his voice extremely cold. In his opinion, this youth was only borrowing the name of Azure Emperor's master to be so awe-inspiring. In truth, anyone from Qingzhou, even if it was the previous generation's Azure Emperor, would not be a match for the current Jiang Wuhan. Oh, I've just returned, and I've already met such an interesting person. After the Jiang family's patriarch spoke, Jiang Wuhan, who had been drinking with his senior, also looked over. Brother Wuhan, this person is Jiang Shuiying's master. His words are quite bold. Show him what it means to be the #1 genius of Tianzhou, to be a powerhouse that returned from the divine dreamland. Seeing Jiang Wuhan speak, Jiang Feng and the others were all shocked. Trash, keep bragging. Why aren't you bragging? Aren't you fierce? Now do you know what it means to court death? Our brother Wuhan is prepared to teach you a lesson. Then, Jiang Feng looked at Lin Ling, his nose almost pointing towards the sky as if he were Jiang Wuhan himself. Wuhan, teach him a lesson. Let him know that even if he is Azure Emperor's master, in a great world's Jiang family, he is nothing more than a lowly servant. The Jiang family elders also spoke out one after another. As they looked at Lin Ling, their eyes were filled with anger and disdain. Good. Jiang Wuhan stood up and walked towards Lin Ling, causing the entire square to fall silent. The genius Jiang Wuhan, who had returned from the divine dreamland, was finally going to take action. However, Jiang Wuhan's pace was fast at the start, but it gradually slowed down. Finally, every step seemed to weigh 1,000 pounds. And at this time, a cold sweat began to drip down his forehead. This was because in his eyes, this youth seemed to be the son of the demon who had suppressed a half-step saint in the divine dreamland. You are the son of the demon. Jiang Wuhan didn't dare to step forwards. His voice clearly trembled. As for Lin Ling, he sat in his chair, leisurely sipping his wine. After a long time, he finally replied with a single word. "Mm." This single word was like a bolt from the blue, causing Zhang Wuhan's legs to weaken. With a loud thump, he fell to the ground. In the divine dreamland, he had also participated in the struggle for the divine boat and had personally witnessed just how terrifying the son of the demon was. Even the number one genius of the Flame Province, the third son, had been instantly killed by the son of the demon. As for the Miao Province's Miao divinity's true inheritance, Ye Shui, such a proud daughter of heaven, had actually been helpless against the son of the demon. After leaving the divine dreamland, the names of the son of the demon had caused a great stir amongst the elders of the 9 provinces. And now, such a terrifying character had come to Sky Province, and he was even Zhang Shuiying's master. Chapter 3152. Bad Intentions. Brother Wuhan. Brother Wuhan. Zhang Feng and the others were dumbfounded when they saw Zhang Wuhan sitting there in a daze. Son of the devil? Brother Wuhan. Then they stared at Lin Ling, who was drinking, and shook their heads. They couldn't believe that a character whose name shook the 9 states and made all the big shots helpless was actually from Qingzhou and was Zhang Shuiying's master. The 9 states was so vast and there were countless powerhouses. It was impossible to meet such a famous character in the blink of an eye. At this moment, even the third princess was confused. But they could clearly see that Zhang Wuhan was sitting on the ground and trembling. This kind of fear was very real. Brother Wuhan, teach him a lesson. Brother Wuhan. The ones who found this the most unacceptable were Zhang Feng and the head of the Zhang family. Zhang Feng roared. Hearing this, Lin Ling stopped drinking, but he also looked at Zhang Wuhan. Zhang Wuhan trembled when Lin Ling's gaze swept over him. It was as if he had returned to the divine dreamland and saw the half-saint god who had swept through the 9 states. Son of the devil, what do you want? Brother Wuhan. Zhang Wuhan hurriedly said. I don't want to see these people. Brother Wuhan. Lin Ling narrowed his eyes and said. Good. Brother Wuhan. Zhang Wuhan coldly looked at Zhang Feng and the others. Are you going to scram, or do you want me to do it? Brother Wuhan. Brother Wuhan, it's me. He humiliated our Zhang family. Why are you doing this to me? Why? Why? Zhang Feng and the others were dumbfounded and kept roaring. However, Zhang Wuhan was expressionless. He stepped forward and arrived in front of Zhang Feng and the others. His right arm became thick and flames spewed out like the arm of a ferocious beast. Bang! Bang! After a few punches, Zhang Feng and the others vomited blood and fell down. Then, Zhang Wuhan recognized them and left the square. After doing all this, Zhang Wuhan bowed to Lin Ling, son of the devil. What do we do now? His attitude was like a subordinate of the son of the devil. He followed the son of the devil's orders without any objections. Even though he looked calm on the surface, his back was already covered in sweat. While it looked like he had thrown Zhang Feng and the others out of the plaza, in truth, he had saved Zhang Feng and the others. He had also saved the entire Zhang family. This was because if the son of the devil were to make a move, the Zhang family would definitely face a calamity. The entire Zhang family fell silent in an instant. Lin Ling didn't say anything, so Zhang Wuhan didn't say anything either. And since Zhang Wuhan didn't say anything, the others didn't dare to say anything either. The Zhang family members were still confused. Even the third princess felt the same way. She kept shaking her head. The son of the devil? Son of the devil? How did Master become the son of a demon? One must know that Lin Ling hadn't even left Qing province for 100 years. This amount of time wasn't enough for him to become famous in the 9 provinces. However, Zhang Wuhan had returned from the divine dream realm. He shouldn't have lied to them. Master, are you really the son of devil? After a moment of silence, only the third princess's voice could be heard. Hee, if I said no, would you believe me? Lin Ling said with a smile. Well, I don't know if I should believe him or not. Third princess frowned. In truth, I am the son of devil who wants to fuck you to death. Lin Ling joked. His words caused the third princess's eyes to widen. Her master was the son of devil who wants to fuck you to death? For a time, she was even more confused. However, Lin Ling didn't plan on explaining anything. He looked at Zhang Wuhan and said, Today, I came here for a broken sword. What do you think? Broken sword? Zhang Wuhan hurriedly looked at the Zhang family patriarch. The Zhang family patriarch naturally knew what the broken sword was. That was one of the treasures in his collection that he couldn't see through. There is indeed one, but the Zhang family patriarch frowned. Give it to him, Zhang Wuhan immediately said, causing the latter to be unwilling. A treasure like the broken sword was definitely extraordinary. Now he had to give it to someone else. Give it to him. Zhang Wuhan knew that the latter was hesitating. Thus, his voice turned icy cold. In fact, his heart was filled with anger. He hoped that the Zhang family patriarch wouldn't offend the son of devil. Otherwise, his entire lineage would be exterminated. This was something the son of devil could do with a single move of his foot. The Zhang family patriarch was furious. He thought that Zhang Wuhan was helping an outsider. Patriarch, give it to him. That broken sword isn't easy to obtain. Suddenly, an old man beside him reminded him. The Zhang family patriarch's eyes lit up. He had forgotten how terrifying the broken sword was. All right, since you're an acquaintance of Wuhan, I'll give you some face. The broken sword is at the back of the mountain. If you can take it, I, Zhang Daba, will have no objections. However, if you die under the demonic aura of the broken sword, then blame me for not reminding you. The Zhang family patriarch finally agreed. However, although he seemed to agree, he was actually harboring evil intentions. As for the Zhang family elders, as long as they knew how terrifying the broken sword was, each of them sneered secretly. They were obviously waiting for Lin Ling to throw his life away. Damn it! That made the third princess's beautiful eyes turn cold. Today, she finally saw through the Zhang family. She had been working hard for the Zhang family. In Qingzhou, she fought against the four magnates and Emperor Qing. Now that she had become Emperor Qing, the Zhang family still didn't respect her. Instead, they wanted to snatch the various treasures of Qingzhou from her. From the beginning to the end, she was just a pawn. Master, they're up to no good. Thinking of this, the third princess stood up and said, Shuer, what do you mean by this? Hearing this, the Zhang family elders were displeased. They had raised the third princess since she was young. Now that the third princess's wings had hardened, she turned her back on them? She even wanted to help an outsider? Don't forget who helped you get to where you are today. The Zhang family patriarch also spoke. Bullshit. However, the third princess was going all out this time. She was no longer afraid of the Zhang family. Her angry shout carried the majesty of Emperor Qing. The Zhang family patriarch's eyes narrowed. Zhang Shuiying was calling him bullshit? This had never happened before. His gaze landed on Lin Ling. He immediately knew that with his master around, Zhang Shuiying had become much bolder. He wanted to laugh. He didn't believe that a mere blue-robed young man could really fight against the entire Tianzhou. Although Zhang Wuhan thought that Lin Ling was the son of demon, he didn't know how powerful the son of demon was. He thought it was mostly a rumor. Aren't you talking bullshit? After I became Emperor Qing, other than the first 10 years when the Zhang family sent experts to help me, what else did you do after that? Last time, when Emperor Qing of Qingzhou invited the 9 states' 10 evils, I asked the Zhang family to help. At that time, who came? You bunch of cowards. After knowing that the other party was the 9 states' 10 evils, you pretended that you didn't receive my voice transmission. Did you think I didn't know that? You had planned to leave me to fend for myself. You thought that I wouldn't be able to become Emperor Qing. Unfortunately, in the end, you were disappointed. When my master returned, he helped me get to the top and swept through everything. You didn't do anything, but now you think of yourselves as heroes. Do you have any shame? Are you still human? The third princess spoke with righteous indignation. The more she spoke, the louder she became. The Zhang family members were furious. Chapter 3153. But this? How impudent. The head of the Zhang family slammed the table in anger, wanting to teach the third princess a lesson. However, Lin Ling's cold eyes also looked over. As long as the head of the Zhang family attacked, he would drown the entire Zhang family in lightning. Head of the family, calm down. The child is immature and is just spouting nonsense. Let's let Shue's master get the broken sword. At this moment, a thin old man suddenly spoke with a smile. The head of the Zhang family was stunned, but he soon understood what the old man meant. The broken sword was lying in the back mountain, but no one dared to approach it because the demonic aura was extremely dense. Even the celestial emperor had gone to take a look, but he did not dare to stay for too long. Moreover, because of the broken sword's existence, the living beings in the thousands of miles around the back mountain were restless. How could Lin Ling take such a broken sword? As long as Lin Ling died under the broken sword, the third princess would lose her wings. When the time came, he would turn her into a puppet and let the Zhang family of the Great World be the mastermind and control Qingzhou. That's right, let's go get the broken sword. Thinking of this, the head of the Zhang family immediately smiled and nodded. His smile was very sinister, and he looked at Lin Ling as if he was looking at a dead man. This also caused Zhang Wuhan to frown. He was afraid that the Zhang clan had offended the son of the demon. Just as he was about to speak, the patriarch of the Zhang clan had already spoken. Wuhan, it's better for us to settle the matters of our bloodline. This made Zhang Wuhan finally fall silent, but he was still very worried. Master, be careful of a trap. The third princess was too familiar with the Zhang family, so she kept reminding Lin Ling. Hee, it's just the Zhang family. What can they do? However, Lin Ling held the wine cup and stood up calmly, planning to go to the back mountain to get the broken sword. At this moment, the entire Zhang family was secretly laughing, as if a conspiracy was quietly spreading. The head of the Zhang family seemed polite, but in fact, he was sneering the most. Pfft. However, Lin Ling passed by him and splashed the wine cup in his hand, splashing wine all over the head of the Zhang family. I said that even if it's the head of the Zhang family, he wouldn't dare to object if I splashed wine all over his face. Is this right? The patriarch of the Zhang family stood there in a daze, allowing the wine to splash down on his face. His eyes turned red. An aura that belonged to a 10th stage half-saint quietly spread out. Is this right? However, Lin Ling turned a blind eye to it and asked again. This infuriated the entire Zhang clan. As the royals of Tianzhou, when have they ever been humiliated like this before? Their head of the Zhang was the head of the family. Demonic son, that's right. However, seeing that the patriarch of the Zhang clan was about to fly into a rage, Zhang Wuhan took the initiative to speak. It was as if he was a step too slow and caused Lin Ling to make a move. He was able to discern that the Zhang clan's patriarch seemed to be very displeased with Lin Ling. But the Zhang clan's patriarch probably didn't know how terrifying Lin Ling was. So, if he spoke carelessly, then it would cause no end of trouble. The patriarch of the Zhang family stood there, trembling with anger. He wiped the wine off his face, and a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. He smiled. It was a maniacal smile. Head of the family, there's no need to lower yourself to his level. He's trying to provoke you into attacking him. But don't forget, you don't need to kill him. Suddenly, a voice with a chilling aura came. The head of the Zhang family was stunned. He narrowed his eyes and said to Lin Ling, "You're right. I don't dare to object." Obviously, the person who'd sent him a voice transmission had told him that Lin Ling would definitely die, so he'd endured it. Head of the family. Of course, the others didn't know this, so they all voiced their dissatisfaction. However, the head of the Zhang family waved his hand and calmed everyone down. Don't be impatient. You must look further ahead. Hearing this, the members of the Zhang family were very suspicious, but they held it in. Young friend, please follow this direction to the east. That's the mountain behind the Zhang family. Then, the head of the Zhang family looked at Lin Ling and smiled. Lin Ling didn't even look at him. He followed the direction and strode forward. Master, be careful. The third princess was extremely worried. Unfortunately, Lin Ling had already disappeared into the distance. In fact, there was no need for the head of the Zhang family to remind him. Lin Ling had already sensed the aura of the broken sword. It was very similar. It was exactly the same as the sword hilt on his back. Moreover, compared to the broken sword he got in the past, the broken sword now emitted a stronger demonic aura. Not long after, the ancient Song Mountain appeared in front of him. The entire mountain was emitting a strong black aura, making people shudder when they got close. The demonic aura was so strong that it was like a knife, cutting Lin Ling's body. No wonder no one dares to get close to this broken sword. Lin Ling was secretly surprised, and his speed increased by a notch. When he landed on the ground, the demonic aura burst out. The grass on the ground all danced. The grass was black, like demonic grass. Obviously, the broken sword had changed the surrounding area. Even the air was filled with demonic aura, as if there was a demonic god singing. Pa pa pa. Sword marks immediately appeared on Lin Ling's body. Circles of demonic clouds enveloped Lin Ling, causing his pupils to turn pitch black. Bedevilment. Lin Ling instantly reacted. He looked around and saw many white bones hidden in the grass on the ground. It seemed that the warriors who got close to the broken sword had died from bedevilment. Kill! Lin Ling's mind suddenly rang with a roaring voice. This caused his entire body to be filled with murderous intent and demonic aura to ripple. He felt as if he had transformed into a killing demon from the era of gods, killing everything. I have to calm down. Lin Ling kept shouting in his mind. He did not expect this broken sword to be so powerful. However, at the critical moment, the scabbard on his back finally floated up. At the same time, he slashed forward. The pitch-black demonic clouds were parted, revealing a bright path. Upon closer inspection, at the end of the path, there was a broken sword that was half the length of an arm lying on the ground. This broken sword was like a sleeping demon king, lying there quietly. Even the celestial emperor of Tianzhou did not dare to cross the lightning pool. What a terrifying demonic aura! Lin Ling gradually woke up. He realized that the demonic aura that had entered his body had become like an obedient baby, no longer causing him to have crazy thoughts. Luckily, I have the broken sword. Lin Ling looked at the broken sword floating in front of him again. Then he laughed speechlessly. Senior, I was following your instructions to find the broken sword for you. But just now your broken sword almost wanted to kill me. Don't tell me you don't want to find all the remaining broken swords. The broken sword seemed to have heard Lin Ling's complaints. It trembled and then flew forward, floating above the broken sword on the ground. It seemed that the scabbard was going to absorb the broken sword. When Lin Ling saw that the surrounding demonic aura did not affect him, he quickly floated to the scabbard. Then, using the scabbard's protection, he frantically absorbed the surrounding demonic aura. Although demonic aura could change a person, it was also excellent nourishment. Chapter 3154. Shameless. Rumble. Under Lin Ling's crazy absorption, the entire back mountain shook. Demonic clouds rose into the sky, looking extremely terrifying. As for the Zhang family, the patriarch of the Zhang family was holding a wine cup and drinking lightly. Patriarch, this kid is so arrogant. In my opinion, we should keep him here forever. An elder suddenly looked at the patriarch of the Zhang family and said. The others also had cold expressions and wanted nothing more than to kill Lin Ling. He's my master. How dare you? The third princess immediately said angrily. However, no one paid attention to her. Everyone's eyes were on the patriarch of the Zhang family. The patriarch took a sip of wine and said slowly, Do you think the Zhang family will give away such a precious treasure like the broken sword so easily? Patriarch, what do you mean? Someone was puzzled. Only those who were familiar with the broken sword sneered. That broken sword existed even before our great world's Zhang family existed. Over the years, countless powerful cultivators have been interested in it, but in the end, they either died to the broken sword or fled without a trace. So, how could that brat take the broken sword so easily? In fact, if he insists on having his own way, he will definitely die under the broken sword's demonic qi. An elder said with a sinister smile. Hearing that, the members of the Zhang family finally came to a realization. Then, voices of schadenfreude rang out one after another. I see. Haha, that guy dared to humiliate our Zhang family. This is the price he has to pay. Wait, let's go and collect his corpse. The people of the Zhang clan laughed loudly as if they had vented their anger. Even Zhang Feng and Zhang Yi came back. When they heard the news, they drank more than 10 cups of wine. As expected of the patriarch. He has everything planned out. Son of the devil? I think he's just a joke. Looks like Brother Wuhan has praised the son of the devil too much. They laughed one after another. Zhang Wuhan frowned. Was the son of the devil going to die under the broken sword? He felt that it was unlikely because the son of the devil could suppress half-saints in the 9 states. However, he had personally investigated the mysteries of the broken sword. He would be invaded by the demonic aura within 1,000 miles, let alone getting close. Therefore, he did not know if the son of the devil could be safe. You're all despicable. Nonsense. When the third princess heard everyone's words, she finally came to her senses. She knew that the patriarch was cunning and would never give away such a precious treasure. So that was why. Nonsense. Schwerer, you've overestimated your master. Let me tell you, he's possessed or has turned into a pile of bones. The patriarch of the Zhang family said coldly as he drank wine. Impossible. My master will never die. The third princess glared angrily at the Zhang family's patriarch. In the beginning, she was also worried about Lin Ling, but when she thought of the scabbard on Lin Ling's body, her confidence grew. Rumble. However, her voice had just sounded when a deafening sound rang out. Even though they were far away, they could still see the demonic clouds churning like an ocean. The entire Tianzhou was astonished at this moment. Countless warriors looked at the sky with awe. They seemed to know that the back mountain of the Jiang family had become a sea of demonic aura. Everyone in the Jiang family was stunned because it was their first time seeing such terrifying demonic aura from the broken sword. Ha 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 ha. The patriarch of the Jiang family was the first to burst into laughter after being stunned. How can that kid still be alive with such demonic aura? After his voice floated out, everyone in the Jiang family laughed maniacally as well. At this point, none of them thought that Lin Ling could still be alive. Shuer, do you see that? Zhang Feng was undoubtedly the happiest among everyone. He raised his wine cup and smiled at the third princess. Plop! The third princess sat on the ground powerlessly, her eyes tearing up. She never thought that her master would die in the Jiang family after going through storms and waves. Although her master had the scabbard, she did not think that her master could survive the demonic aura. Master, I'm sorry. The third princess kowtowed to the sky. If she had not invited Lin Ling, how could Lin Ling have died here? Now that Lin Ling was dead, how could she explain to Yu and the others? How could she explain to Grandma Wendao? Most importantly, her master had always protected her, but he had died for her. Bang! 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 She had always been pure and had never kowtowed to anyone, not even Emperor Qing of the past, not even the current patriarch of the Jiang family, not even the Tianzhou's heavenly emperor. But now, she was kowtowing to a young man for the first time. Seeing the third princess kowtowing, everyone in the Jiang family laughed even louder. They all drank their wine with ridicule on their faces. The third princess took in all of their ugly appearances, and her beautiful eyes turned even redder. I know that you hate us. I also know that you have never thought of yourself as a descendant of the Jiang family. But let me tell you today, if it weren't for your mother's relationship with Emperor Qing, do you think you would have any status in the Jiang family? Let me tell you again, the Jiang family gave you powerful cultivators to help you because they wanted you to seize Emperor Qing's position and serve the Jiang family. The patriarch of the Jiang family said indifferently, "You despicable." The third princess raised her head, her face full of anger. "Even if I become a ghost, I won't let you control Qingzhou. That's not up to you to decide. You should know that our Jiang family has a puppet technique that can make people wish they were dead." The master of the Jiang family picked up his wine cup and took a sip. He didn't even look at the third princess. Hearing this, the third princess' body trembled. She finally understood what the patriarch of the Jiang family was thinking. She wanted to be made into a puppet by the Jiang family and then use her to control Qingzhou. Although Qingzhou could not be compared to Tianzhou, it was still a colossus. If most of Qingzhou's cultivation resources were extracted, it would be enough to cultivate a large number of powerful cultivators. Big Tyrant Jiang, I didn't expect you to be so despicable. The third princess gritted her teeth and quickly stood up, wanting to escape. Curse as much as you want. From now on you, Jiang Shuiying, are also a meritorious person of the Jiang family. Your memorial tablet can be placed in the ancestral hall of the Jiang family in the Great World and be respected by future generations. Now you should obediently be a prisoner. Men, capture her. Sigh. The patriarch of the Jiang family was still drinking, but his voice became colder and colder. Under his voice, several wrinkled old men of the Jiang family slowly walked out. It's a pity that we are related by blood. Otherwise, I really wouldn't want to let go of this delicate little beauty. Sigh. After she becomes a puppet, we can still play with her. In any case, she can't control her body at all. Moreover, we want her to leave her intelligence, but she can't control her body. If we play with her like this, she will definitely feel more refreshed. Sigh. Hee hee, good suggestion. Sigh. Their words could only be heard by the third princess. The third princess gritted her teeth and her beautiful eyes were about to spit fire. Chapter 3155. A complete break. Of course, the third princess also planned to end her own life before she was made into a puppet. She was the Qing Emperor of Qingzhou. She had grown up in Qingzhou and had feelings for that place. How could she betray Qingzhou? I, Jiang Shuiying, am really a person with a hard life. She looked up at the sky as tears flowed from her beautiful eyes. She had been a bastard since she was young. The Qing Emperor did not want her. Her mother had also left her. The Jiang family did not treat her as a human and bullied her since she was young. They only used her. Fortunately, the heavens were kind and she had a good master. This master treated her sincerely and helped her wholeheartedly. He did not even ask for anything in return. However, her master was also dead. People always said that the heavens were unpredictable and people were unpredictable. However, she had never had things go her way since she was young. 2 streams of tears flowed from her delicate little face as she thought of that. However, at this time, her eyes suddenly lit up. Her delicate little face that was staring at the sky also froze at this moment. The demonic clouds still rolled in the sky. However, a blue and white robe could be vaguely seen in the dark demonic clouds as if a demon had arrived. Master! The third princess trembled when she saw that figure. She even thought that it was an illusion. Hee, you're about to die and you still want to deceive us. The elders behind her had already walked over. When they heard the third princess's words, they could not help but laugh sarcastically. They obviously did not believe the third princess's words at all. However, the third princess continued to look at the sky and even became more and more excited. This caused the elders to frown and subconsciously look at the sky as well. Black clouds rolled in the sky, but the blue robe descended clearly. Whoosh! And its speed was getting faster and faster. It was like a bright shooting star shooting down from the sky. Whoosh! Next, the cold sword flashed and the elders were instantly frozen on the ground. Bang! Almost at the same time, a slender figure also landed on the ground, shocking the entire Jiang family. The patriarch of the Jiang family, Jiang Feng, and the others all stared with their eyes wide open. This young man had returned alive from the broken sword? One had to know that the demonic chi of the broken sword was so terrifying that even the celestial emperor did not dare to cross it. However, a junior who was only at the beginning of the half-saint realm was safe and sound. Plop! While the crowd was still in shock, the elders beside the third princess all fell to the ground. Sword scars also appeared on their necks. Before they died, they pointed at the blue-robed youth, wanting to say something, but in the end, nothing came out. Master! Jun Wuxia, on the other hand, was crying tears of joy. She almost rushed over and hugged Lin Ling. How is this possible? With such a ferocious demonic aura, how can you still be alive? The broken sword is something that ordinary people can't even get close to. After a short while, the roar of the head of the Jiang family rang out. He kept shaking his head. This was because he had wanted to use the broken sword to kill Lin Ling, but his wishful thinking had failed. You said broken sword. The person who had arrived was Lin Ling. Lin Ling's face was expressionless as he swept his gaze over the Jiang clan. Suddenly, he smiled faintly and waved his right hand. A broken sword that was half the length of an arm immediately appeared in his palm. This caused the pupils of the entire Jiang family to constrict. The head of the Jiang family pointed at Lin Ling in disbelief and roared angrily. Why did you bring the broken sword out? It should be known that the Jiang family had tried to take the broken sword many times, but in the end, they had returned in failure. Many people had even died. However, they were reluctant to give up the broken sword because they knew that this broken sword with surging demonic aura was definitely a precious treasure from the era of the gods. But now, such a precious treasure had actually been taken away by this young man. Not only did I take the broken sword, but I also used the demonic aura to break through to the next realm. Lin Ling smiled again, as if he would not stop until he said something shocking. As soon as he finished speaking, the people of the Jiang family instantly felt a sweetness in their throats, and they almost spat out a mouthful of old blood. Especially the elders, they were so angry that their lungs were about to explode. Because not only did the demonic aura not kill the young man, but it also allowed him to break through to the next realm. And there was only one outcome for them when they got close to the broken sword, and that was death. How could they swallow the humiliation of being treated like this? For a moment, the entire Jiang family was silent, and besides the rage in their hearts, there was only rage. After the Jiang family's patriarch recovered from his rage, he gradually calmed down, and he frowned as he looked at Lin Ling and said, Since you're Jiang Shuiying's master, then you're an important guest of my Jiang family. Leave the broken sword behind, and my Jiang family will treat you like an honored guest. Obviously, he suddenly realized that since Lin Ling was able to take the broken sword out, then it meant that his Jiang family could obtain the broken sword as well. That's right, Jiang Shuiying's master. Hand over the broken sword, and we won't make a fuss about your previous rudeness. Zhang Feng knew how precious the broken sword was, so he spoke coldly as well. However, their words caused the third princess's eyes to narrow. Because the Zhang family had already agreed with Lin Ling. If Lin Ling could take the broken sword away, then the Zhang family would not mind at all. But now that they saw Lin Ling wanted to take the broken sword away, they immediately went back on their word. They even spoke in a tone as if they were bestowing a reward. How could this person be so shameless? The broken sword was taken out by my master. How could it belong to you now? The third princess could no longer hold it in, and she glared angrily at this group of hypocrites. Shuer, don't be rude. As a descendant of the Zhang family, you have to consider the big picture. The broken sword is our Zhang family's precious treasure. How could we give it away so easily? Hearing this, the Zhang family's patriarch reprimanded the third princess. This caused the third princess to finally laugh. Not long ago, the Zhang family wanted to turn her into a puppet. At that time, they also said that the Zhang family did not treat the third princess as one of their own. Everything they did was to use her. And now, they were saying that everything was for the sake of the Zhang family? The third princess kept shaking her head. She knew that there was no way she could reason with these shameless people. What do you think? The Zhang family's patriarch ignored the third princess. Instead, he poured a cup of wine and tossed it to Lin Ling. He seemed to be very polite, treating Lin Ling as an honored guest. Becoming the Zhang family's honored guest will bring you many benefits. You must know that you are only strong in the Qing state, but the Qing state is just a rural place. It can't be compared to the Tianzhou. Following the Zhang family's patriarch's wine cup, his kind voice also floated out. His words were indeed like a reward. Lin Ling's expression was extremely calm. He took the wine cup, looked at it indifferently, and then shook his head. Become the Zhang family's honored guest? He was now the future realm emperor of the spirit state, and the spirit state was much bigger than the Tianzhou. How could a mere Tianzhou talk to him in a tone of a reward? He didn't even bother to say anything more. He would use his actions to prove everything. Show! The wine in the cup was not cold yet, and Lin Ling threw it back with a bit more force. Bang! The wine cup smashed into the Zhang family's patriarch's face, and the wine spilled all over him. This made the Zhang family's patriarch's face turn cold. Was Lin Ling's action a sign of rejection? This person didn't know what was good for him. You refuse a toast only to drink a forfeit. The Zhang family's people all stood up. Chapter 3156. Annihilation of the Zhang family. The Zhang family and the son of the demon had completely broken off their relationship. He firmly believed that the Zhang family of the great world would be annihilated without a doubt. Nephew Wuhan, you don't have to persuade us. This person has gone too far. Although our Zhang family isn't a great force in the 9 prefectures, we have our own backbone. How can we allow others to humiliate us? As if knowing that Zhang Wuhan was about to speak, the Zhang family head stood up and said. His expression was filled with righteous indignation, but his words had stirred up the Zhang family's ambition. Their blood was boiling. That's right, how could their Zhang family allow others to humiliate them? Seeing this, Zhang Wuhan's expression changed greatly. He knew that it was useless to persuade them. On the contrary, Lin Ling finally let out a loud laugh. He had finally witnessed the shamelessness of the Zhang family. Humiliating them? Who was humiliating who? It was obviously the Zhang family who was in the wrong, but they actually spoke with the face of a victim. Moreover, when the third princess was subdued, Lin Ling had seen it all. He had long been filled with killing intent. Daring to touch his disciple was like touching the reverse scale of the realm emperor. However, before Lin Ling could do anything, it was the Zhang family who did it first. Lin Ling didn't expect the Zhang family to court death to such an extent. Surrender and wait to be captured. Our Zhang family has countless experts, and you are only at the initial stage of the half-saint realm. You may have some strength, but you definitely can't stop our entire Zhang family. Seeing Lin Ling's silence, the Zhang family had thought that Lin Ling was afraid. The Zhang family members walked out in an orderly manner. Their imposing manner intimidated Lin Ling, letting Lin Ling know that he had offended a colossus. You only have one chance. Kid, I'll show you the strength of the middle stage of the half-saint realm. Some of the older elders even let out cold shouts. The strength of the middle stage of the half-saint realm erupted one after another. Seeing this, Lin Ling's smile deepened. He said to the third princess, "There are so many people in your family. If I kill them, what will you do?" They are not my family, the third princess said decisively. That's good. Watch from the side and see how I kill the people of the Jiang clan. Lin Ling nodded. With a wave of his right hand, the Tyrant Song's sword appeared in his hand. You released your imposing aura in front of me because you want to tell me how powerful the intermediate stage of Semi-Sage realm is. Thank you. I also saw it. It was indeed very powerful. With a sword in hand, he was like a demon god. Brat, you finally have some self-awareness. The people of the Jiang family did not seem to know that Lin Ling was already planning to start a massacre. Those elders all laughed sinisterly. But in the next moment, the demon sword was unsheathed. The blood-red sword seemed to cut through life and death, dazzling as it slashed through. Those elders frowned, and a mocking smile appeared on their faces. They thought that Lin Ling would not turn back until he hit the mountain. But when the cold sword light reached their eyes widened and they panicked. With a single slash, more than 10 heads fell to the ground. No one in the middle stage of the half-saint realm could block this sword strike. The entire Jiang family instantly fell silent. Hee. The strength of the middle stage of the half-saint realm is really powerful. Even I am shocked. What are these heads? After killing them with a single slash, Lin Ling mocked, but his tone was cold. You killed them. His voice made the people of the Jiang family react. Everyone was furious. Not only did I kill them, but I also killed all of you. Lin Ling looked at the third princess and reminded her to take care of herself. Then he took a step forward, and the speed of 50 worlds erupted. The big sword in his hand danced. A terrifying demonic energy descended majestically. At this moment, the rank of the Devil Sword had already reached 50%. Under that slash, blood flowed like a river. More than 100 experts of the great world's Jiang family were killed by that slash. Hee. The strength of the middle stage of the half-saint realm is really worthy of its reputation. I admire you. Most importantly, after Lin Ling killed those powerhouses, he made a mocking sound. Previously, the people of the Jiang family thought that Lin Ling's realm was low, so they wanted to use the strength of the middle stage of the half-saint realm to let Lin Ling know how lowly they were. Now Lin Ling told them that Lin Ling, knew. Lin Ling, was very lowly. Even Lin Ling admired him. However, whether he admired him or was lowly, the ones who died were middle-stage half-saint realm experts. Kill him. The eyes of the people of the great world's Jiang family turned red. One by one, they unleashed their talents, and their arms became thicker. It was as if the bloodline of a remnant god had descended to the world. Unfortunately, it was useless against Lin Ling. With another slash, 10,000 arms were cut off. Swoosh! On the huge square, everyone's arms were cut off. Their eyes were wide open, and they cried out in pain. Hee, your bloodlines are really powerful. You have to yield to me. Lin Ling's voice continued to float out. Not only was he mocking them, but he was also rubbing salt on their wounds. He was like a demon. Although the demonic qi that he absorbed before did not affect Lin Ling, it was still hidden in Lin Ling's body. But at this moment, it was as if all of it was pouring out. Late-stage half-saint realm? Try my slash. After killing the middle-stage half-saint realm experts, Lin Ling immediately attacked the late-stage half-saint realm experts. This group of shameless people really thought they were something. Now, he would tell them that they had found the wrong person if they wanted the broken sword. Obviously, the late-stage half-saint realm experts could not block Lin Ling's slash. At this moment, the power of Lin Ling's demonic sword had increased greatly, and his realm had also increased. Naturally, he was not afraid of these ordinary late-stage half-saint realm experts. How terrifying! Zhang Feng stared at Lin Ling. Only now did he know what kind of expert he had provoked. Caught you. But at this moment, arms appeared in the sky and bloomed like flowers. Then they gathered from the ground, the sky, and every corner of the void. They surrounded Lin Ling in the square and drowned him. As expected of Uncle Fu. Looking at the old man who had attacked, everyone was overjoyed. This was the grand elder of the great world's Jiang family. In terms of seniority, he was even older than the Jiang family's patriarch. This kid is a bit strange. His methods are terrifying, but he is still too inexperienced. The old man wiped the sweat from his forehead, but his words were filled with pride. Uncle Fu, well done. Immediately, more voices of admiration came from the Jiang family. As expected of the grand elder, he was the guardian of their great world's Jiang family. Those voices made the old man even more proud. Uncle Fu, I am also very impressed. But at this time, voices of admiration came from behind the old man. You will also have such strength in the future. The old man smiled faintly and spoke proudly. He thought that the person behind him was a junior of the Zhang family. However, the square had become silent. Everyone looked behind Uncle Fu, as if they were looking at the god of the underworld. The old man finally noticed this change, and he quietly turned around and instantly saw the smiling blue-robed young man behind him. It was Lin Ling. Didn't I catch you? The old man no longer looked proud, and his face was filled with disbelief. Uncle Fu, right? What you caught was just an illusion. It was just a soul martial technique. The blue-robed young man smiled, but his smile gave others a feeling of surging demonic chi. Whoosh! In the next moment, a sword slashed down. Thump! Chapter 3157. So what if he was the patriarch? The Zhang family became even more silent. Even the Grand Elder had fallen? This blue-robed youth was only at the second layer of the half-saint realm. How could he be so strong? His sword is indeed powerful. Moreover, his realm essence seems to be thicker than expected. It doesn't seem like he's at the second layer of the half-saint realm. Instead, it feels like he's at the sixth layer of the half-saint realm. Even Zhang Wuhan's expression changed greatly. Although he already knew that the son of demon was powerful, he didn't expect the son of demon to sweep through the entire Zhang family with just a sword. I'm sorry, but your Zhang family's time of calamity has arrived. Boom. Lin Ling's gaze swept across the people of the Zhang family. The sword in his hand emitted a dense fog. It was a rolling demonic aura. He spun on the spot like a spinning top. With a slash of his sword, the sword light turned into a circle. The moment it slashed out, the people were once again plunged into misery and suffering. How is this a demonic sword? It could be called a demonic sword. Only then did the great world's Zhang family realize just who they had provoked. Zhang Shuiying's master is actually so strong? The legendary son of demon is actually so terrifying. Boom. Looking at the one-sided scene, Zhang Feng and Zhang Yi's faces turned extremely pale. They wanted to escape from here. Hee, I haven't forgotten the two of you. Boom. However, just as they moved, a friendly voice came from behind them. But after the voice, it was a fatal slash. Their heads fell to the ground, but their eyes were still open. It was as if they had died with grievances. Beast. Boom. The Zhang family's patriarch witnessed everything. He never expected that in less than an incense stick's worth of time, more than half of the Zhang family's people would be killed or injured. He roared like a ferocious tiger soaring into the sky. His left arm began to change. It expanded violently and turned into a giant black tiger. The tiger opened its mouth wide and pounced on Lin Ling from the sky. A dense, murderous aura erupted at this moment. From afar, it looked like a giant divine tiger. In reality, it was just a mutated arm. This was a fifth-grade desolate body, the undefeatable tiger god. At the same time, Lin Ling raised his head. He knew that a formidable opponent had arrived. A 10th stage half-saint in addition to a 5th-grade desolate body. This was no ordinary half-saint expert. Die beast. The tiger in the sky finally arrived, but Lin Ling sneered and said, "That's not necessarily true." The illusion god true inheritance was used by him, and then he left the place. Rumble. The divine tiger struck the ground, causing the earth to feel as if it was being ripped open. The patriarch of the Zhang family's methods were indeed ferocious, but his move only destroyed Lin Ling's illusion. Lin Ling was still safe and sound. On the contrary, under the patriarch's move, the martial artists on the ground were caught in the crossfire. If they didn't die, they would be injured. Haha, patriarch of the Zhang clan, I didn't expect you to be on the same side as me. It seems that you have been dissatisfied with the Zhang clan for a long time. The number of people you have killed is no less than mine. Seeing this, Lin Ling's laughter became even louder. The master of the Zhang family was so angry that his eyes turned red. Where do you think you're going? The patriarch of the Zhang family shook his giant arm and grabbed at Lin Ling again. It was as if he was covering the sky with one hand. Escape? You think too highly of yourself. Lin Ling raised his head, and the sword in his hand fiercely slashed out. The sword light was sharp and sharp. Clang! However, the patriarch of the Zhang family's giant arm was extremely extraordinary. It was as hard as a mountain. Even a god wouldn't be able to destroy this giant arm. 50% of the Devil Sword's power actually couldn't cause a fatal injury. You have some skills. The corner of Lin Ling's mouth curled into a smile. However, he was also secretly shocked by the patriarch of the Jiang family's strength. At the same time, this also indicated that Lin Ling could kill a late-stage half-saint expert. However, the prerequisite was that the opponent's innate talent wasn't strong enough. Lin Ling obviously couldn't do as he pleased against an expert like the patriarch of the Jiang family. However, was Lin Ling only so? Roar! At the same time, the god-demon physique roared, causing the sword to become even larger. Lin Ling held the sword and rushed towards the sky. Around his body, the sky was filled with black plants that grew in the sky. It was extremely dazzling. The sky had become a world of plants. This guy still has other methods? The pitch-black azure-like plants shrouded the sky. Without a doubt, it was an eye-opener for the Jiang family's members. The patriarch of the Jiang family's expression changed. After he reacted, his arm was entangled by countless vines. Following that, a giant sword slashed down from above the tiger's head. It emitted a roar and caused pain in his arm. This guy was getting fiercer as the battle went on. It's useless. There has never been a second-stage half-saint that could make me retreat half a step. Although it was unbelievable, the patriarch of the Jiang family still had confidence in himself. Is that so? Lin Ling's sword didn't have any effect. He floated back. While the mini Kunlun was binding the giant tiger, he slapped his left hand and a dragon's roar resounded. Watch me, Lin Ling, shoot the tiger. The 5-meter-long dragon bow descended. The bow seemed to be carved out of dragon bones. It actually made the martial artists on the ground feel a sense of reverence in their hearts. Heavenly Dragon's protection, good karma increases by day. With his majesty, Bodhi does not retreat. With ghost assistance, peaceful dreams. 3 dazzling arrows were shot out like the dragon god. Especially the last arrow, it was transformed from the true inheritance dark sword. Whoosh! The first arrow pierced through the divine tiger's head, causing it to let out a painful roar. The second arrow froze the divine tiger in place. The giant tiger's body trembled nonstop. When the third arrow arrived, the giant divine tiger's arm exploded. Fresh blood bloomed in the sky like a flower. Ah! The patriarch of the Jiang family let out a cry of pain. His left arm was crippled by the 3 arrows. As for the Jiang family members on the ground, they were speechless. Even the patriarch couldn't stop this fierce young man. Kid, you are too arrogant. Ha! However, at this moment, the terrifying aura of a saint finally arrived. In the sky, a palm formed from jade slammed heavily towards Lin Ling. Heavenly Emperor. Ha! When they saw who it was, the Jiang family members were all overjoyed. Heavenly Emperor, this person does whatever he wants in Tianzhou. He is lawless. Please kill him. Ha! The patriarch of the Jiang family also roared. In my territory, no one is allowed to behave atrociously. I will naturally take care of this junior. Ha! In the sky, the majestic voice also sounded. Then a handsome middle-aged man appeared in the sky. It was as if the heavenly emperor had arrived. With his hands behind his back, he looked at the common people as if they were under his control. This was the heavenly emperor of Tianzhou. Heavenly Emperor? Are you blind? On the ground, Lin Ling also looked up at the sky with a cold expression. Ignorant child, you are about to die and still want to be stubborn? The middle-aged man in the sky looked down at Lin Ling. The coldness in his eyes became even more intense. They went back on their words and even found a chance to kill my disciple. They twisted right and wrong and inverted black and white. As the number 1 person in Tianzhou, you did not ask for the reason before attacking? Lin Ling spoke again. In my territory, what is black is white, and what is white is black. The heavenly emperor was furious. Where did this nameless junior come from? How dare he shout at him? Was he looking for death? Heavenly Emperor, kill him. Don't listen to his lies. Chapter 3158. So what if you're the Celestial Emperor? Looks like there's no need to talk nonsense. You're just a bunch of mad dogs. The leader is just a big mad dog. Humph. Hearing those words, Lin Ling laughed. Instead, he put the tyrannical song on his back and stood there like an immovable wisdom king. Mad dog. Humph. The Celestial Emperor naturally knew who Lin Ling was scolding. He also laughed coldly. Die. Humph. The huge palm he used suppressed Lin Ling with enough force to topple mountains and overturn seas. The sage realm was not something that the current Lin Ling could resist. Master! Master! The third princess shouted worriedly. In Pine Prefecture, the Qing Emperor was at the half-saint realm, and he was the strongest expert of Pine Prefecture. Unfortunately, he was a very weak existence in the 9 prefectures. Not to mention anything else, just the celestial emperor of Pine Prefecture was countless times stronger than him. Therefore, Lin Ling could defeat the Lotus Emperor, but he was no match for the celestial emperor. However, at this moment, Lin Ling gently lifted his foot and stomped on the ground. Rumble! The power of the gods exploded and endless divine lightning roared. Under Lin Ling's feet, a huge divine boat appeared out of thin air. It exploded the Jiang family and descended. Rumble! The huge palm in the sky pressed down, but it was easily blocked by the divine boat. On the other hand, when the divine boat appeared, everyone in the Jiang family was killed by the lightning. Only 3 of them survived. The Jiang family's patriarch, Jiang Wuhan, and the third princess. The 3 of them and the celestial emperor all stared at the divine boat with wide eyes. Killing a half-saint with 1 kick. It's finally here. Jiang Wuhan said solemnly. His voice was filled with fear. Killing a half-saint with 1 kick. The Jiang family's patriarch muttered to himself, but his body was trembling. Now he finally knew what it meant to be the son of a demon. Under the wrath of a demon, the Jiang family of the great world was completely annihilated. Don't think that you're so great just because you're the celestial emperor. I, Lin Ling, am invincible in Tianzhou. What can you do to me? On the huge divine boat, Lin Ling put his hands behind his back and looked up at the Sky Emperor. The Sky King of Tianzhou frowned deeply. He didn't think this unknown junior would have such power. Now that he heard Lin Ling's words, he was even more furious. This was because in his eyes, everyone from the great world's Jiang family had been killed. But that youth actually challenged him directly, not treating him as some heavenly emperor at all. How dare you? He unleashed an even more terrifying power, and the power of the Saint Realm continued to press down. Rumble! However, the divine boat was still safe and sound. Its defense was extremely terrifying. Celestial Emperor. On the contrary, Lin Ling's mocking voice floated out like the wind. This voice was heard by more than half of the Tianzhou. The warriors of the Tianzhou were trembling because in their hearts, the Sky Emperor was omnipotent. But now, the Sky Emperor was helpless against an outsider. I don't believe that the tortoise shell can last for long. At this moment, the Sky Emperor's breathing quickened. The boat's defense was stronger than he imagined, so he also activated his ancient power. In the face of the ancient power left behind by God, everything is useless. In the sky, the ancient palace began to descend. The aura of God was extremely dense. Gods weren't something that mortals could meddle with. Celestial Emperor, you can do it. Looking at the majestic divine palace, everyone in Tianzhou was shouting. They couldn't allow an outsider to do whatever he wanted in Tianzhou, lawless and out of control. Rumble! The divine palace and the divine boat crazily clashed. The entire Tianzhou shook, the ground cracked, and the sky rolled. Even a battle between deities couldn't compare to this collision. What terrifying power! Everyone exclaimed in shock. Their palms were sweaty. The ancient power had appeared, so the youth should be dead. Do you think you're the only one with the power of God? Just then, a cold voice descended like thunder. It was deafening. On the ground, the giant divine boat slowly floated up. It was still resisting the divine palace, but it was unharmed. This terrifying defense was beyond the Sky Emperor's imagination. He kept shaking his head. Impossible. How is this possible? After all, he was the Sky Emperor. Even though his cultivation level wasn't the highest in the 9 continents, he controlled an ancient power and could rule over Tianzhou. Yet now, a young man who came out of nowhere suddenly appeared and slapped his face in front of him. Again and again, he couldn't do anything about it. Suddenly, his gaze fell on the divine boat, and he came to a realization. Could it be that the giant boat also came from the era of gods? It seems that I underestimated you. The Sky Emperor shouted coldly. He turned into a ray of light and charged towards the divine boat. He clearly knew that he couldn't do anything to the divine boat by itself. But if he could kill the owner of the divine boat, then the divine boat would become an ownerless object. Thinking of this, he gradually became excited. He even imagined that he could control the ancient power and have powerful attacks. If he could control the divine boat and have powerful defenses, then how terrifying would he be? With this thought in mind, An excited smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. Moreover, what made him excited was that he had easily reached the divine boat. He didn't encounter any obstacles along the way. On the magnificent deck of the divine boat, the blue-robed youth appeared in front of him. "Now, what do you have to say?" The Sky Emperor stared at the blue-robed youth. He was very excited, very excited. Without the protection of the divine boat, this youth was just SOSO. "I knew that you would come to die." At this moment, Lin Ling looked at the Sky Emperor without any surprise. "What do you mean?" Hearing Lin Ling's words, the Sky Emperor immediately frowned. The excitement from before had disappeared. This was because Lin Ling's reaction was too calm. It was so calm that it made him uneasy. "Let's put it this way." Lin Ling smiled and waved his left hand. A golden chair shot out from the depths of the divine boat. Lin Ling sat down and looked at the Sky Emperor like a host looking at a guest. "My Noah's divine boat has extremely powerful defenses. However, its offensive power is somewhat average. Unless someone comes to visit the divine boat personally." Hearing this, the Sky Emperor's uneasiness grew. He frowned and said, "What will happen if we reach the divine boat?" "Suppressing the Sky Emperor is as easy as flipping my hand." Lin Ling said word by word. It was as if he was speaking the words of a god. As soon as he finished speaking, the entire divine boat finally shook. Countless enchantments came crashing down on the Sky Emperor. Bang! These enchantments came from the era of the gods. The number of enchantments had reached a terrifying limit. How could the Sky Emperor resist them? He thought that Lin Ling would definitely die in the divine boat. Unfortunately, he thought too much. He couldn't even fight back. He was directly pressed to the ground, and his life was under Lin Ling's control. Even if he wanted to summon the ancient powers, he had no choice. Because after the enchantments appeared, he was separated from Tianzhou. One should know that the emperor gods of Jiuzhou could summon the ancient powers in their own territory. However, they couldn't do so elsewhere. Chapter 3159. Return to the spirit state. Puff! Fresh blood poured out of the Sky Emperor's mouth like it was worthless. His pupils were trembling. He, a dignified heavenly emperor, was actually suppressed into a dog by a junior. "So what if you're the Sky Emperor?" Lin Ling walked forward. He waved his right hand and the Sky Emperor's neck seemed to be gripped by him as he slowly walked to the side of the boat of gods. The entire Tianzhou was looking at the boat of gods in the sky. Everyone was confused. "I wonder how he is doing. Is there a need to guess? That kid is dead for sure. What is the Sky Emperor? You don't understand." However, many people still had confidence in the Sky Emperor. Perhaps they knew since they were young that the Sky Emperor was untouchable. However, before the discussion ended, a silhouette appeared beside the giant boat of gods. The silhouette grabbed the Sky Emperor's neck and descended upon the sky region. This was because they saw that the person standing there indifferently was the mysterious youth. On the other hand, the handsome middle-aged man whose neck was being held and whose body was trembling was the Celestial Emperor. This scene silenced Tianzhou. The Jiang clan leader and the third princess were also shocked. Especially the third princess. She couldn't believe it. When Lin Ling broke off relations with the Jiang clan, she already thought of the worst result. At most, she would fight the Jiang clan leader. However, the entire Jiang clan couldn't do anything to Lin Ling. The Jiang clan leader couldn't do anything to Lin Ling. In the end, the Sky Emperor arrived and he was the same. Instead, he was easily subdued by Lin Ling. "Are there any objections?" While Tianzhou was silent, Lin Ling's voice also floated out. "Are there any objections?" His voice was heard by everyone in Tianzhou. But even the Sky Emperor was subdued. Who dared to object? No one dared to speak. All the warriors in Tianzhou lowered their heads. They were certain that even after countless years, what happened today would still be spread all over Tianzhou. For no other reason than the fact that the Sky Emperor was subdued. This was also the first time in Tianzhou's history that something like this happened. Jiang clan leader, kill yourself. Kill. Seeing that no one was speaking, Lin Ling spoke again, his gaze fixed on the patriarch of the Jiang family. The Jiang family head's eyes trembled as he looked at the sky. In the end, a bitter smile appeared on his face. He, too, did not expect the result to be like this. Their great world's Jiang family had provoked a powerhouse that was even more terrifying than the Celestial Emperor. If he could turn back time, he would definitely treat that youth as an honored guest. Wu Hen, the son of the devil you speak of, is actually so terrifying. He first looked at Jiang Wuhen, and a sense of helplessness appeared in his eyes. The latter let out a long sigh. He had tried to persuade Jiang Wuhan, but Jiang Wuhan refused to listen. Now that Jiang Wuhan had come to this conclusion, it was really the Jiang clan head who had brought this upon himself. I thought that no matter how strong an early half-saint is, there would be a limit to it. The Jiang clan leader's bitter smile deepened as he stared at the young man in blue in the sky. It was as if he was looking at the real god of heaven. Alas! He let out a long sigh, retracted his gaze, and looked at the third princess. Schwerer, you found yourself a good master. Today, the great world's Jiang family will perish because of you. If we had known this would happen, our Jiang family would have treated you like a son. With such a powerful master, our Jiang family would have been able to leave Tianzhou. What a pity, what a pity. The Jiang clan head continued to speak. In the end, his entire body darkened, and like a piece of paper, he cracked open and disappeared from the world. It was obvious that his death was filled with endless remorse. In Jiuzhou and the universe, power represented everything. Only by displaying great power would others willingly bow down to you. However, it was a little too late for the Jiang clan head to bow down. Third princess, let's go back. Seeing that the Jiang clan head had perished, Lin Ling spoke to the third princess. All right. The third princess immediately nodded and walked towards the sky. The third princess is the Qing Emperor of Qingzhou. I don't like to hear that anyone wants to harm her. Otherwise, I will kill them no matter how far away they are. Lin Ling's gaze swept across the entire Tianzhou, and his voice was filled with thick, murderous intent. Then he threw out the Sky Emperor in his hand, boarded the boat of gods, and left Tianzhou in a grandiose manner. The Sky Emperor looked at the boat of gods that was leaving with fear and did not speak for a long time. In reality, he knew that in Jiuzhou there were some powerful cultivators who could ignore the ancient powers and roam freely in Jiuzhou. However, there were very few of these powerful cultivators, and they were not interested in Jiuzhou. However, he had never expected that he would meet such a person today, and such a young one at that. People of Tianzhou are never allowed to step into Qingzhou. Then the Sky Emperor looked at the world and said. Everyone nodded. Even without the Sky Emperor's reminder, they did not dare to wander around Qingzhou. The emperor behind Qingzhou was too terrifying. Kaboom! The giant boat of gods was now heading towards Qingzhou. On the boat of gods, the third princess was still looking at Lin Ling in shock. There's no need to be so surprised. How can someone who can be your teacher only have some mediocre skills? Seeing this, Lin Ling smiled and said, in fact, in spirit state, your teacher is the next realm emperor. Other than your teacher, Yu, Sakura, and the others are all stronger than you can imagine. Hearing this, the third princess's body trembled. Her beautiful eyes looked into the distance, filled with yearning. In reality, when Lin Ling left Qingzhou, she was very confused. She did not understand why Lin Ling gave up his supreme position and would rather roam Jiuzhou. But now she understood. Teacher, I will become stronger, the third princess said to Lin Ling seriously. I believe in you. Lin Ling nodded. Also, I'll leave my family in your hands. Don't worry, unless I, Jiang Shuiying, die, Grandpa Taiyan and the others will be safe. The third princess said with her chest puffed out. Lin Ling nodded in satisfaction. The two of them chatted on the divine boat. Lin Ling also taught the third princess many martial arts. After a long time, Lin Ling arrived at Qingzhou. However, he did not go down. Instead, he left after giving some instructions. This was because the 1-year time limit was getting closer and closer. He had to rush back to spirit state immediately. Rumble. Not long after, the huge divine boat once again pierced through the universe and shot into the distance. On the divine boat, Lin Ling played with the scabbard. He was shocked. After obtaining the new broken sword, the scabbard's power had obviously more than doubled. With 50% of the demon sword rank, killing ordinary half-saints was as easy as chopping vegetables. Moreover, Lin Ling could clearly feel that the scabbard's killing intent towards him had weakened significantly. I've gained a lot from this trip to Tianzhou. Lin Ling mumbled to himself. Not only did he obtain the broken sword, but he also increased his cultivation level by another level. His 4 dantians had also all improved. Now, he was confident that he could defeat an elite in the middle stage of the half-saint realm, unless he encountered an existence that surpassed the 5th grade desolate body. Then, while rushing, Lin Ling began to stabilize his cultivation level. Although he had many treasures and they were all extremely powerful, he knew that if he wanted to go further, he still had to rely on his cultivation level. Chapter 3160. Shameless Conditions. As time passed, Lin Ling got closer and closer to the Spirit Province, and his mood began to become excited. In the Spirit Province, there was his wife and his master. The Spirit Province was also another home for him, so he would definitely protect this home. At this moment, the 1-year deadline was getting closer and closer. The people of the Heavenly Court were searching for Lin Ling in the myriad realms and finally arrived at the Spirit Province. On this day, the sun was charming and white clouds floated in the sky. A large number of experts appeared in the sky of the Spirit Province. Many of these experts were at the Saint Realm, and there were even over 100 half-Saint Realm experts. From this, one could see the strength of the Heavenly Court. There are 2 sects in the spirit state, the Mi and Xian sects. The 2 sect masters are both extremely powerful saints. I'm afraid it will be a bit troublesome to ask them. What's there to be afraid of? We have the Heaven Court's martial god behind us. The realm monarch of the spirit state will definitely give face to Lord Martial God. That's right, let's begin the interrogation. Among the experts, several sages were having a casual discussion and finally came to a decision. Lord Tantric Buddhism, Lord Xianzong, the Heavenly Court has sent someone to invite you to meet them. One of the elders let out a loud and clear voice that spread throughout the entire spirit province. Instantly, countless powerful cultivators from the spirit state looked up at the sky. Over at the Vajrayana Sect's valley, everyone was on high alert as if they were facing a formidable enemy. Xing Xian frowned, but he waved his hand and said, "Don't be impatient. Let's go take a look." Under the lead of Lord Tantric Buddhism, the 4 heavenly kings walked towards the sky and finally arrived near the Heavenly Court's experts. "You are Lord Tantra?" An old man from the Heavenly Court looked at the Tantric sect's lord indifferently. Although he seemed polite, there was a hint of arrogance in his tone. "That's right. May I ask why you are here?" His attitude was naturally noticed by the Tantric Sama. He was displeased, but he did not show it on his face. "I'm looking for a person called Lin Ling." Before the old man could speak, a thin middle-aged man beside him spoke up. As soon as he finished speaking, the hearts of everyone in the Tantric Buddhism sect shuddered, as if they were afraid that the Heavenly Court would discover something. How big is the spirit state? Finding someone called Lin Ling is not an easy task. Tantric Sama immediately replied, "I don't care. In any case, the Heavenly Court has ordered you to find someone called Lin Ling. As long as it's related to this name, kill them all." The old man spoke again, but his voice was much colder this time. "Kill them all." Hearing those words, all the cultivators in the spirit state felt a chill run down their spines. The Heavenly Court had killed wrongly, and they had not let anyone off. Kill them all? Isn't your Heavenly Court a bit too cruel? Because the spirit state is boundless, there are quite a few people named Lin Ling. Are you going to kill all of them? Even the Tantric sect master was displeased. Haha, quite a lot. Hearing that, the people from the Heavenly Court could not help but laugh. The few people in the lead looked at each other, and the old man said with a cold smile, "I'm sorry. In the 9 states and the 10,000 realms, we've already killed hundreds of millions of people named Lin Ling. Moreover, we heard that a Lin Ling appeared in the spirit state, so we rushed over. Right now, you don't have any right to refuse, because if you refuse, we'll look for him ourselves. However, we can't guarantee that no innocent people will be implicated. When the time comes, even more people will die. The Heavenly Court is a powerful force that spreads throughout the 9 states. Lord Martial God is not someone you emperor gods can fight against, so you must think carefully." The Heavenly Court's elites spoke one after another, and they became even more aggressive. Hearing that, the 4 heavenly kings secretly clenched their fists. They wanted nothing more than to kill these people, but the Tantric sect master secretly stopped them. This group of people was not very strong, and they could deal with them. However, they were afraid of the Heavenly Court. If they killed them, it would attract even more Heavenly Court elites. The Heavenly Court's elites naturally knew that the Tantric sect master was unwilling, but they did not care at all. They slowly waited for the Tantric sect master's reply, because they knew that the Tantric sect master would agree. The Heavenly Court is really overbearing. They actually want to kill everyone related to Lin Ling. If we refuse them, they'll look for him themselves. When that happens, the spirit state will definitely be plunged into misery and suffering, and rivers of blood will flow. My lord, what should we do now? The 4 heavenly kings secretly transmitted their voices. Agree to them for now. Stall for time and wait for Lin Ling to return. The tantric sect master's eyes flashed, and he also secretly transmitted his voice. Then he looked at the heavenly court's elites and said, "All right, I can agree to it. However, you have to give me some time. How about 3 months later?" Sure. Hearing that, the heavenly court's elder smiled and nodded. However, we have to stay in the tantric sect. What? The tantric sect master's expression instantly changed. Furthermore, we have the right to enter any corner of the spirit state. Furthermore, we have to unconditionally investigate what you have and what your cultivation cave abodes are like. The heavenly court's elder said again, "You've gone too far." The tantric sect master could not hold back anymore. Martial artists had their own secrets and hidden treasures. Sometimes, they would not even tell their closest kin. However, these people from the heavenly court wanted to investigate as they pleased. They probably wanted to plunder the treasures while they were at it. This condition is too much. The 4 heavenly kings also spoke. You're probably trying to rob the spirit state while you're looking for someone. In the spirit province, angry voices rang out one after another. Hee. Hearing that, the people from the heavenly court laughed. Some of them even laughed loudly. This made people frown, not knowing what they were laughing about. However, in the next moment, the leading elder waved one hand, and a terrifying amount of realm essence turned into a sun-like realm essence bomb that blasted towards the ground. Rumble. The planes of the spirit state were immediately overturned, and the ground continued to shake. So what if I am? So what if I'm not? Only then did the elder speak. Clearly, he was using a forceful method to tell everyone that they could not refuse. It was just a reminder before. The next time we attack, it won't be a reminder anymore. We'll kill them directly. Beside the elder, the others also spoke one after another. Their voices were cold, and they did not treat the people of the spirit state as humans at all. This also made the people of the spirit state furious, but they all endured it. Even the 4 heavenly kings wanted to attack, but they were afraid that it would attract more heavenly court elites, so they also endured it. If no one objects, then we'll do as we say. The heavenly court elites were not surprised by the tantric sect's silence. This was because wherever they went, the elites there would obediently listen to their orders. Therefore, the spirit state was no exception. Rumble. However, at that moment, a rumbling sound suddenly came from afar. A huge divine boat tore through the sky and arrived majestically. At the bow of the divine boat, a young man stood there like a giant with his hands behind his back. The blue robe and dual swords shocked the people of the spirit state. Chapter 3161. I am Lin Ling. I'm back. Xing Xian was also overjoyed. However, she soon became worried. That was because Lin Ling's return should be more low-key. He shouldn't be like a god and cause a huge commotion in the entire realm. He would be targeted by the Heavenly Court's experts. In fact, the Heavenly Court's experts were indeed eyeing Lin Ling. However, they weren't eyeing Lin Ling himself. Instead, they were eyeing the divine vessel beneath Lin Ling's feet. They all licked their lips. This divine boat was too awe-inspiring, dazzling in gold and jade awe-inspiring. Such a treasure should belong to their Heavenly Court. The boy in front stopped the boat. I suspect Lin Ling is on the boat, so we need to investigate. A Saint Realm expert strode forward, intending to seize Lin Ling's divine ark. TSK, this ship is extraordinary. If the martial god knew about it, he would be tempted. As for the other members of the Heavenly Court, they were all looking forward to it. It was as if the divine boat had already fallen into their hands. However, not only did the divine boat not stop, it even sped up. The saint who had walked over didn't care at first, but gradually, his eyes narrowed. It was as if he was looking at a colossus of God charging towards him. "Stop the ship," he roared. "Senior, what are you talking about?" However, Lin Ling's voice also floated out from the massive divine boat. "You." The saint expert's eyes narrowed. Was this fellow doing this on purpose? Could it be that he was planning to smash him to death with the ancient boat? As for the people from the Heavenly Court in the distance, they also had the same thought, but most of them felt that it was impossible. Who in the 9 prefectures would have the guts to kill someone from the Heavenly Court? Boom. However, the result was born. The giant ancient ship rolled over. The saint at the front didn't believe it at first, but when the ancient ship appeared, he finally believed it. However, he was also a saint expert. His reaction was extremely fast, and he displayed a powerful martial art. However, it was useless. Crash! A sound that sounded like paper being torn apart resounded. The saint expert was crushed into a meat patty under the gazes of countless people. Saints were like ants at this moment. This also caused the spirit state to fall silent. You're courting death. Stop the ship. After a moment of silence, the old man in the lead let out an angry roar. It had to be known that every expert of the heavenly court was a martial artist who had experienced hundreds of battles. Their names had once shaken the 9 provinces, and they had entered and exited the fiend god-forbidden lands. However, such a heroic figure had been killed by a ship in the end. This was probably the saddest death in the history of the heavenly court. If this news were to spread, how would others view the heavenly court? Senior, wait. However, while they were enraged, Lin Ling's voice came from the ancient ship, causing the heavenly court's experts to frown. Could it be that the kid was finally going to stop the ship? Rumble. However, before they could finish their thoughts, the massive divine boat seemed to speed up again. Help! Sir, save me! Its speed was like lightning as it continued to crush the half-sages that the heavenly court had brought. At this moment, all of them were crushed into meat patties. For a moment, the heavenly court's experts wished that their parents had given birth to them with an extra pair of legs. Senior, I can't stop the ship. While the heavenly court was in chaos, Lin Ling's helpless voice floated out again. Can't stop the ship? The heavenly court's saints all opened their mouths wide. Rumble. The crushing continued. After an entire incense stick's worth of time, only 5 of the heavenly court's hundreds of people were left. The 5 of them were all saints. They looked at the slaughtered surroundings and felt chills run down their spines. You finally stopped the ship. While they were boiling with anger, Lin Ling's innocent voice clearly fell into their ears. You finally stopped the ship? It would have been better if he hadn't said this. Once he said this, it was like rubbing salt on a wound because everyone in the heavenly court was dead. Kid, do you know what kind of mistake you've made? The old man in the lead was the most furious. Ever since he started learning martial arts, this was the first time he had suffered such humiliation. Rumble. However, just as he finished speaking, the Noah's divine ark started moving again. The sound was like a rolling boulder. That voice caused the hearts of the remaining Saint Realm experts to tremble. Rumble. Before their eyes, the merciless Noah's divine ark started moving again. It was extremely fast and crushed one of the saints. The sage was also enraged as he unleashed a powerful martial art. However, it was useless. He was crushed to death again. Fresh blood sprinkled down from the sky like rain. Soon after, another saint cultivator followed in his footsteps and was also crushed to death. Only one of the saints was fast enough to surpass the speed of 100 realms. He thought that he could avoid such a great calamity. However, just as he took a step, a deafening sound came from behind him. When he turned around, he saw a huge ship the size of an ancient city. That ancient ship was chasing after him. I, the Huda King, have killed gods, destroyed saints, and wandered the land of miracles. I've walked through all the storms and waves, but today, I'm going to be crushed to death by a ship. That saint opened his mouth wide, and his eyes were filled with unwillingness and anger. It was too embarrassing to die in such a way. Rumble. However, it was useless. He was also crushed to death. In the end, only an old man was left in the heavenly court. He was stunned on the spot. I'm sorry. I don't know why the ship started moving again. At that moment, the ancient ship finally stopped. The young man on the bow of the ship also apologized. However, he did not look like he was apologizing at all. You're crazy. Do you know who they are? Do you know how they died? Do you know what you're doing? The old man could not hold it in anymore and kept roaring. I'm sorry. I didn't do it on purpose. However, I know how they died. They were crushed to death by a ship. Lin Ling apologized again. Crushed to death by a ship? Hearing this sentence again, the old man's wound was undoubtedly rubbed with salt. He spat out a mouthful of old blood and roared angrily. Who the hell are you? Hey, can't we talk nicely? I already said that I didn't do it on purpose. Hearing this, Lin Ling's face turned cold. You didn't do it on purpose? The old man looked around. Everyone in the heavenly court was dead, and this kid said that he didn't do it on purpose? Who was he trying to fool? Who the hell are you? If you don't tell me, don't blame me for annihilating all 9 of your families. The old man's voice became murderous. He felt like he was going crazy. Can't you talk nicely, old man? However, since you asked me who I am, I'll tell you. I'm Lin Ling. On the ancient ship, Lin Ling's mocking expression gradually disappeared. It became cold and indifferent like ice and snow. Lin Ling. The old man was originally angry, but after thinking about Lin Ling's words, his face finally changed greatly. You're Lin Ling. Chapter 3162. Declaring War on the Heaven Court. That's right, it's Lin Ling who killed a few of martial god Qilin's disciples and challenged the Heaven Court. Lin Ling enunciated each word clearly. The murderous intent that had been hidden in his heart also quietly spread out at this moment. Bang! His words were like a thunderclap, causing the old man's figure to tremble. He scanned his surroundings and suddenly realized that the young man was not innocent, but had done it on purpose. It also implied that he had been tricked by Lin Ling since the beginning. I'm only sparing your life because I want to get rid of one thing from you, Lin Ling said. The old man no longer had his previous pride. He said with a stern look, What is it? Tell martial god Qilin that I, Lin Ling, will be waiting for him in the spirit continent. Lin Ling said calmly after a slight ponder. However, the entire spirit continent fell into an uproar following his words. Lin Ling had taken the initiative to invite martial god Qilin here? What is this kid up to? The master of the tantric sect gasped. If martial god Qilin was here, the spirit continent would be wiped out. The reason being that he was a martial god realm expert. Even the old man looked at Lin Ling in disbelief. Are you serious? Do I look like I'm joking? Lin Ling asked in return. He knew that the final duel between him and martial god Qilin would come eventually. If that was the case, Lin Ling might as well wait patiently for his opponent to arrive. All right, I promise you, the old man said sternly after a slight ponder. Even though he had no idea what Lin Ling was up to, he knew that the Heaven Court was treating Lin Ling with great importance. Very straightforward. Break one of your arms, and I'll send you back to inform the Heaven Court. Lin Ling nodded and said calmly. Hearing this, the old man clenched his teeth. He glanced at the boat of God with a hint of dread. In the end, he broke his arm and left in disgrace. Lin Ling, you're going to regret challenging the Heaven Court. The spirit continent is going to be destroyed when Master Martial God arrives. Just wait for his wrath. The old man did not want to lose his dignity as he left. Lin Ling let out a hollow laugh. He waved his left hand, summoning a 5-meter-long dragon bow, and fired it into the sky. You loser, don't waste your time. Although the dragon god's arrow couldn't harm the saint stage expert, it gave the old man a fright. In the end, he fled in panic. Seeing this, the entire spirit state erupted in laughter. When the laughter reached the elder's ears, it made him even angrier. My dear disciple, you're back. Lin Ling, congratulations on your return. After the old man Qilin his heart, the tantric sect's heavens, Xiu Xiyun, and the others immediately came to the heavens. Lin Ling's heart warmed as he walked over with a smile. Brother Ling, second brother. Yu Yu and the others flew out from the ground, their faces filled with joy. Lin Ling looked at everyone on the ground, then at Yu Yu and the others. He swore to himself that he would definitely win the battle against the martial god in the spirit continent. Lin Ling, why did you let him go? If you eliminate him, it will take a long time for the heavenly court to find this place. Now that you've let him go, the martial god will definitely make a move. After talking for a while, the tantric master looked at Lin Ling worriedly. What will come will come. Instead of waiting every day in fear, why don't we set a date and have a fight? Lin Ling said to everyone. That's true, but how can the spirit continent stop the martial god from coming? Xing Xian said with a frown. The martial god realm was beyond the saint realm and the martial ancestor realm. He could be considered a god. Such a powerhouse was not someone they could fight against. Don't worry. I estimate that they will arrive in the spirit continent in half a month. Half a month is enough, Lin Ling said with a smile. He did not explain further. Lin Ling, how confident are you that you can fight against the martial god? Seeing Lin Ling's confident smile, the tantric sect master knew that Lin Ling had always been mysterious, so a glimmer of hope rose in his heart. 60%. Lin Ling pondered for a moment, then said word by word. Hearing that, the tantric sect master and the others finally smiled. 60% confidence in fighting against the martial god was unprecedented in the 9 provinces. All right, we'll fight with you. Xing Xiun and the others looked at each other and nodded in the end. At this point, There was no point in saying anything. They might as well prepare for the arrival of the martial god. Lin Ling looked at the sky and saw that the sky above the spirit continent was filled with smoke. However, he was confident that he could sweep through everything. Let's go. Without saying anything else, Lin Ling strode forward. That night, the spirit continent was extremely lively. Everyone in the tantric sect was happy to welcome Lin Ling back. However, Lin Ling did not have time to catch up with his friends. He began to prepare for his revenge. This time, in order to fight against martial god Qilin, Lin Ling planned to set up a divine barrier formation in the spirit continent. This formation used Noah's Ark and the ancient tree of Mount Yu as the foundation. At the same time, countless ancient barrier formations were set up. Moreover, Lin Ling was very familiar with martial god Qilin, so he had also set up a fatal attack against him. If this formation is completed, the spirit continent will be safe for 1,000 years. While setting up the formation, Lin Ling also mumbled to himself. Time passed quietly just like that. On the other side, the old sage had also returned to the heavenly court and told them about Lin Ling's whereabouts. What? He took the initiative to challenge me? When martial god Qilin heard the news, his expression turned serious. This was because he had always been curious about Lin Ling. He felt that this young man was very mysterious, but now Lin Ling had directly challenged him. It was impossible for him not to be surprised. Are you sure? Martial god Qilin asked again. After all, who in the 9 continents had the courage to challenge a martial god? My lord, I'm very sure. The old man quickly nodded and said, Very well, inform the heavenly court to set off for the spirit continent. I'd like to see who this Lin Ling is. Martial god Qilin finally made up his mind. His eyes deepened as he stared into the starry sky. Lin Ling, oh Lin Ling, what secrets are you hiding? I hope everything will come to light once I arrive. Pass down my order. Tell them that I, martial god Qilin, am going to attack the spirit continent. Martial god Qilin placed his hands behind his back and said calmly, My lord, are you going to spread this news across the 9 continents? The old man's expression changed. It was his first time seeing martial god Qilin treat a junior so seriously. That's right. Martial god Qilin nodded and took a step forward, disappearing on the spot. Lin Ling, oh Lin Ling, you're dead meat. You've angered the martial god. The old man could not help but feel overjoyed. He quickly asked the heavenly court to spread the news. Without a doubt, the entire 9 continents was in an uproar when the news spread. The heavenly court was an extremely ancient force that spread across the 9 continents. It was not something that a mere emperor of the divine land could oppose. Now, the spirit continent dared to challenge the heavenly court and martial god Qilin. Chapter 3163. The heavenly court has arrived. Wow, this is a matter that will shake the 9 provinces. Who is so bold as to challenge the martial god? I don't know, but I can see that the heavenly court is furious. They are going to wipe out the entire spirit state, and even choose a new realm monarch for the spirit state. They're dead. At this moment, the 9 continents were like a stone that caused 1,000 ripples. However, no one was optimistic about the spirit state. This was because the strongest in the spirit state was only a saint. They didn't even have a martial ancestor, let alone a martial god. Even the cultivators from all over the 9 continents were talking about how many days it would take to wipe out the spirit state. Some said 3 days, some said 1 day. Some ruthless and greedy people were already heading towards the spirit state. They planned to loot some treasures after the spirit state was wiped out. As for the Miao continent, Yan continent, Yun continent, and the other ancient continents, countless cultivators were laughing coldly. They thought that the realm monarch of the spirit state was stupid. Time passed by quickly. The spirit state was still peaceful. However, in these days, the spirit state was also welcoming cultivators from all over the 9 continents. Some of them were here to take advantage of the situation, while others were here to watch a good show. Of course, they were also asking who was bold enough to challenge the martial god. In the end, they found out that the one who challenged the martial god was the new realm monarch of the spirit state. This idiot has just become a realm monarch, and his confidence is inflated. What a pity, he is going to die right after becoming a celestial monarch. No one was optimistic about the spirit state. They were all waiting for the heavenly court's arrival. As for the tantric sect's masters were also talking with the 4 heavenly kings. Their faces were all extremely serious. The heavenly court actually spread the news. Now, the spirit state is also welcoming a large number of cultivators from the 9 continents. Furthermore, the heavenly court twisted the truth and put all the blame on the spirit state. They made the cultivators of the 9 continents think that we are the ones who asked for it. The heavenly court is really something. They knew that a storm was coming. It all depended on Lin Ling whether or not the spirit state could make it through this time's Daikai. Of course, the tantric sect was also anxious. Some of them even started to blame Lin Ling. They thought that Lin Ling brought a disaster to the spirit state. However, the tantric sect's masters still believed in Lin Ling, because they didn't believe in Lin Ling during the ceremony. But what happened in the end? It was Lin Ling who defeated all the geniuses of Xianzong and destroyed their scheme. Hence, since Lin Ling was so confident, Tantric Buddhism would fight with him until the end. Where is Lin? After the sect's masters, the sect's sects, Shui Yun asked Xing Yun. Some people, S to the spirit state's clouds heaven, S, Yun Yun's head to the cloud to the heavens. T's. Calm. We're not to 2. Don't worry. That brat never fights unprepared. Since he's wandering around the spirit state, he must be setting up a powerful spirit formation. Hopefully, this spirit formation can stop the heavenly court's suppression. Xing Xian said. His fists were clenched tightly. His palms were sweaty. At this moment, in the western part of the spirit province, a slender figure was slowly walking forward in a mountain of flames. This was a handsome young man wearing a clean blue robe. As he walked, the surrounding flames couldn't get close to him at all. He was Lin Ling. Tian Yanlin, it's been 2 lives. We'll meet again. He sat down cross-legged and continuously threw out treasures with both hands, causing the flames in the surroundings to gradually extinguish. Back then, you were just a very ordinary person in the martial god world. You hid in a small valley. If I, Li Xiaoyao, hadn't been seriously injured, I wouldn't have known you. You were very kind, and I, Li Xiaoyao, was moved by your kindness. However, time reveals a person's heart. The so-called kindness is only because you haven't encountered any benefits worth selling. Lin Ling stared at the sky. His eyes were filled with vicissitudes. Tian Liuli, Tian Yanlin, Tianwen Valley. The 3 from the Tian family betrayed Li Xiaoyao and took everything from him. Today, he had returned with revenge. Martial god Qilin, Tian Yanlin. If I'm not mistaken, you must have cultivated the selfless lightning god body. The spirit formation I set up is specially designed to break your selfless lightning god body. Lin Ling mumbled to himself. The coldness in his eyes became thicker. If it were any other martial god, Lin Ling wouldn't be able to fight against them. However, he was 60% confident that he could defeat martial god Qilin. This was because Lin Ling was too familiar with martial god Qilin. Here, the spirit formation is complete. Only the last one is left. I hope I can make it in time. As Lin Ling waved his hand, the flames around him disappeared completely. He had used up all his treasures to set up the spirit formation this time. He hoped that the endless accumulation of resources would be able to drag a martial god to hell. On this day, it was a sunny day. The spirit state finally welcomed a large number of experts. At a closer look, the sky was filled with people. They were all wearing neat clothes. They were from the heavenly court. There were half-step saints, sages, and even martial ancestors among them. At the same time, a huge palace was floating in the sky. It was protected by the heavenly court's experts like a moon surrounded by stars. The surface of the palace was carved with the sun, moon, and stars. It looked like an ancient palace. However, the shocking thing was that the surface of the palace was also covered in scales. At a closer look, they were the scales of Qilin. The heavenly court has arrived. Come. The entire spirit state fell silent. In the sky, a large number of forces from the 9 prefectures were also watching with solemn expressions. They never thought that martial god Qilin would really come. Many people had heard of martial god Qilin's name. However, not many people had seen him in person. That was because he was a godlike existence. I wonder how powerful the martial god is. Today, we can finally meet him. The people were excited. They didn't come here to see how the spirit state would fight against martial god Qilin. Instead, they wanted to see martial god Qilin's glory. In their hearts, the spirit state was no match for martial god Qilin. The spirit state couldn't even touch a hair of martial god Qilin's. I'm already here. Amidst the silence, an old voice sounded at the same time. After the voice sounded, the experts from the 9 prefectures felt suffocated. It was as if they had seen a god. I'll give you 1 incense stick's worth of time. Come out, or I'll destroy the entire spirit state. The old voice sounded again. It was cold and emotionless. It was as if Martial God Qilin had lost his patience and wanted to see Lin Ling. However, the spirit state remained silent. Time passed by quietly. The people were puzzled. Did the realm monarch of the spirit state escape? Perhaps the whole thing was just a joke from the beginning to the end? However, it was impossible to joke about the martial god. Time's up. After a long time, the voice that sounded like a death sentence was announced. Everyone in the spirit state narrowed their eyes. Even the tantric sages were the same. In the face of the martial god's arrival, they had no power to resist. They could only watch the martial god's glory. Chapter 3164. Great Face. Kill. Sure enough, a voice sounded in the sky, triggering a murderous aura as if a god was destroying the world. The heavenly court has finally made their move. I'm afraid that in less than half a day, there will be no one left in the entire spirit state. Seeing that the heavenly court was about to make their move, the experts from all over the 9 states mocked. Wait, how about we wait a little longer? However, just as the heavenly court was about to start a massacre, a faint voice suddenly sounded. A large number of figures in black cloaks appeared in the sky. These people seemed to have come from the shadows, giving off a sinister feeling. Assassins? Are they from the Flying Dragon organization? Everyone was stunned for a moment before exclaiming. The Flying Dragon organization was the same as the heavenly court. They were ancient factions that spread throughout the 9 states and could not be underestimated. Flying Dragon organization, what is the meaning of this? An old man from the heavenly court walked out calmly and spoke on behalf of martial god Qilin. Is the Flying Dragon organization going to clash with the heavenly court after becoming the spirit state? At this moment, an old man from the Flying Dragon organization also walked out. He was Do Afterimage. Can we buy some time for the spirit state? Do Afterimage looked at the people from the heavenly court and said fearlessly. In fact, he did not expect martial god Qilin to come personally. Such an expert was naturally not someone he could fight against. You! The old man from the heavenly court sneered, but his eyes were filled with shock. This was because the number of assassins from the Flying Dragon organization that came this time was greater than expected. Many of them were experts, which made him very suspicious. The spirit state could actually summon so many experts. This was quite a big deal. What about this? Do Afterimage also knew that it was impossible for him to make the heavenly court move, so a purple gold token appeared in his hand. God of Assassins. After seeing the token, the old man from the heavenly court's expression changed slightly because that token represented the token of the strongest person in the Flying Dragon organization. It was obvious that he was also an expert who stood in the 9 states and could fight against gods. He was on par with martial god Qilin. All right, give the spirit state another incense stick of time. As if to give face to the token, an old voice sounded in the luxurious palace. Since you've already given an incense stick of time, why don't you give another one? However, as soon as he finished speaking, a large number of experts from the other side. Who are you? This time, the people from the heavenly court frowned because they sensed that those experts were not ordinary. All right, I'll give you another incense stick of time. However, before the people from the luxurious palace, the people from the heavenly court, the experts from the heavenly court's palace. Who are those people? Even the martial god is giving them face? The heavenly court, the people from the heavenly court, the heavenly court, the experts from the heavenly court, the heavenly court, the heavenly court, the... Since it's already been 2 incense sticks, how about 3? Interesting, this is getting more and more interesting. I am getting more and more curious about the realm monarch of the spirit state. All right, give him 3 incense sticks. As if sensing the extraordinariness of the newcomer, laughter rang out from the magnificent palace once again. Give us another 4 incense sticks of time. Give us another chance. However, when the people thought that everything was over, more experts arrived. This time, there were only 2 of them. One was a middle-aged man, and the other was an old woman. The 2 of them ignored them, especially the old woman. Her smile gave people the feeling that she was in control of the world. Who are you? This time, The people from the heavenly court were confused because there were too many people coming to help Lin Ling. I am the 13 blessings of the Fuxing manor. I wonder if I'm qualified. The old woman smiled faintly. 13 blessings? What's that? Oh my God, is she one of the 13 strongest in the Fuxing manor? She has been around since the era of the gods. Are they also here for the spirit state? The people were stunned for a moment, then all kinds of exclamations sounded. Even the heavenly court was the same. They never thought that a mere realm monarch would be able to make all the gods give him face. One had to know that the godly emperors of the divine land, if it weren't for the rules set by the gods that allowed them to control the ancient powers, no one would give them face. And that was the truth. Other than the godly emperors of the Miao continent and the Yen continent, the other godly emperors of the divine land were not that scary. But now, the realm monarch of the spirit state was able to make the Fuxing manor and the Flying Dragon organization stand up for him. This was news that shocked the entire 9 continents. My lord, why are they doing this? The heavenly court's people were confused, so they had no choice but to ask martial god Qilin. I don't know either, but I can say that this little brat called Lin Ling is quite capable. Other than the Fuxing manor and the Flying Dragon organization, the other 2 factions are the Tomb Guardians of the 9 continents' 10 evils and the Genesis Alliance. A calm voice sounded in the luxurious heavenly court. The voice was earth-shattering. The entire spirit state, the entire 9 continents, was shaken by the voice. This was because who didn't know the name of the 9 prefectures' 10 ferocious beasts? They were ancient forces that had existed since the era of the gods. And now, they were here for the realm monarch. This made the people curious. Who was this legendary realm monarch? Why was he so influential? Who would have thought that my dear disciple would summon these people? Even Xing Xiun and the others were shocked. Especially Xing Xiun, he smiled bitterly. His disciple's influence was even greater than his. Time slowly passed by. The spirit state became extremely quiet, as if a day was a year. The people didn't know why the realm monarch was still not here. Was he trying to stall for time? But what was the use of that? Martial god Qilin was here himself. He wouldn't leave until he saw the realm monarch. Thus, the mysterious realm monarch would not be able to escape today. In fact, not only did the people think so, even the Fuxing manor and the Flying Dragon organization thought so. Because of martial god Qilin's arrival, they couldn't do anything. They could only stall for time for Lin Ling. And if Lin Ling couldn't resist at all, there was nothing they could do. They could only watch as martial god Qilin killed Lin Ling. After all, a martial god was not someone they could afford to offend. Furthermore, there was no need for them to offend the heaven court just for Lin Ling. As for the 9 continents' 10 evils, they were the opposite. They were determined to save Lin Ling no matter what. Young master, the martial god is here. If a battle really breaks out, I'm afraid all of us will have to stay here. On the Tomb Guardian race's side, an old man said to a young man, No matter what, we must protect Lin Ling, no matter the cost. The young man's face was emotionless, he said calmly, his words causing the Tomb Guardian race's people to shiver, but they all nodded. Chapter 3165. Lin Ling arrives at that moment. Meng Lu's eyes were filled with worry. He hoped that Lin Ling would be able to survive this calamity. As for the Creation Alliance's side, a large number of experts were standing on the huge black fish. The middle-aged man in the lead was drinking wine. Although he looked relaxed, there was a trace of worry in the depths of his eyes. He knew how powerful martial god Qilin was. He also knew that martial god Qilin had 2 other experts supporting him. Therefore, if the Creation Alliance decided to make a move, they would suffer great losses. That kid really wants to see the world plunged into chaos. He actually dared to challenge the martial god. Then the middle-aged man smiled bitterly. His temperament is very similar to yours. Why don't we let him join the Creation Alliance? After all, his way of doing things is the same as the Creation Alliance's, a beautiful woman said with a smile. You're right about that. The middle-aged man smiled when he heard this, and he was the 9-lantern fish, Lu Chen. Time's up. After an unknown period of time, a voice finally sounded in the heavenly court. As if a bugle horn had been blown, a great slaughter was about to begin. The life and death of the spirit state would be decided at this moment. Looks like a battle is unavoidable. 9-lantern fish Lu Chen also stopped drinking, and a powerful aura spread out from his body. On the other side, it was the same for the gravekeepers. However, just as everyone was anticipating the start of the war, a faint voice finally spread across the entire spirit state like a realm monarch. Martial God Qilin, I won't let you go back today. Far away in the east, a ray of light shot up into the sky and slowly walked over. At this moment, the entire universe seemed to have fallen silent. The entire spirit state was also looking at that man. Lin Ling had appeared. Is he the realm monarch of the spirit state? Heavens, so young. The cultivators from all over the 9 prefectures were shocked. They thought that those who dared to touch martial god Qilin, even if they were not white-haired old men, they would at least be middle-aged men. But who knew that it was a junior? Most importantly, this junior's strength is only at the half-saint realm. That seems to be the son of devil. Soon after, someone exclaimed and recognized Lin Ling. Without a doubt, the cultivators from the 9 prefectures were in an uproar again. The son of a devil, this was the craziest character in the 9 regions in recent days. No one knew where he came from, and no one knew what his sect was. However, if this person appeared out of nowhere, it was impossible for people not to be moved. And now, the son of demon's origin was a little clearer. He was the realm monarch of the spirit state. Impressive, he is already a realm monarch at such a young age. No wonder he dares to rob the half-saints from the 9 continents. Humph, he's just a newborn calf that's not afraid of a tiger. However, he's dead for sure. Although they were surprised by Lin Ling's background, no one was optimistic about him. I'm finally out. 9 lanterns fish, Lu Chun, Dream Flow, and the others stared at Lin Ling with wry smiles. They did not expect Lin Ling to remain so calm in the face of martial god Qilin. Pa! In the sky, the sound of footsteps continued to ring out. Everyone in the heavenly court looked at Lin Ling with cold eyes. Crash! Almost at the same time, the luxurious palace finally opened. Then an old man in a loose robe slowly walked out. The moment he appeared, the sun and the moon seemed to have dimmed. The terrifying energy of heaven and earth turned into astral winds that swept in all directions. The clouds in the spirit state stopped moving. The sun and everything in the spirit state also stopped moving. This was obviously a godlike figure. And he was martial god Qilin. Pa! After martial god Qilin walked out, Lin Ling continued to walk forward. Martial god Qilin did the same. Finally, the two stood a few hundred meters apart. At this moment, the heaven and earth seemed to have fallen silent. All the martial stages were handed over to the two of them. Only the invisible wind was blowing at their robes. One of them was martial god Qilin. The other was the son of demon, Lin Ling. Martial god Qilin looked at Lin Ling calmly with a trace of surprise in his eyes. Too calm. The young man in front of him looked at him with a gaze that was too calm. He did not know how many years it had been since he last saw such a gaze. In fact, the gaze even made his heart palpitate. So you're Lin Ling. It was martial god Qilin's first time meeting Lin Ling. However, he had heard of Lin Ling's name a long time ago. Therefore, he was the first to speak. Lin Ling did not speak. He was still staring at martial god Qilin. Huge waves of emotions surged in his heart. After so many years, he finally met his enemy again. Compared to the past, martial god Qilin had obviously changed. He had become more imposing and ancient. He was like a god who controlled 9 continents. However, the past martial god Qilin was just an ordinary mortal in a small valley. He was weak, cowardly, and incompetent. The two personalities and the two figures seemed to have crossed time and space and merged together. Lin Ling shook his head with a smile. He knew that martial god Qilin's transformation was all because of Li Xiaorao. If the ghost genius Li Xiaorao of the past didn't fall, then he would definitely be a godlike figure in the 9 prefectures. Unfortunately, his glory and achievements were taken away by the 3 people from the Tian family. How impressive, martial god Qilin. Lin Ling said after suppressing his thoughts. Do you know me? Martial god Qilin frowned again. The more he looked at Lin Ling, the more familiar he found him. However, he could not recall where he had seen Lin Ling before. Let's not talk about this anymore. I invited you here today to kill you. If you die, you'll know whether you know me or not. Lin Ling said calmly. However, the flames of vengeance in his heart were boiling. If it weren't for his strong willpower, he would have attacked by now. Very well. I hope you can tell me who you are before you die. Martial god Qilin nodded. His attitude towards Lin Ling was not like he was treating an ant. The people of the heavenly court were infuriated. What right did a half-saint realm junior have to speak to the martial god? Let's begin. Almost at the same time, Lin Ling spoke again. The flames in his eyes were finally ignited. He had waited for countless years. He had lived 2 lives. Now he finally saw his enemy. Everything he did was not to prove anything or to become famous in 9 continents. Instead, he wanted to let the 3 people from the Tian family know that he would take back everything he had lost with his own hands. Fight! Endless fighting spirit burst out from Lin Ling's body. His fighting spirit made the Sage Realm experts' faces change. What a strong fighting spirit. This kid was facing martial god Qilin. His fighting spirit was monstrous. It was terrifying. Lin Ling, let me help you. In the distance, 9 Lantern Fish, Lu Chun, and the others spoke. Lin Ling alone was not a match for the Heavenly Court. Senior Lu Chun, there's no need for that. This is Lin Ling's family matter. I don't want them to interfere unless they're my relatives. Lin Ling looked at 9 Lantern Fish and Lu Chun gratefully and said seriously, Okay. Chapter 3166. Against the enemy. Brother Ling, let me help you. Suddenly, 2 figures flew up from the ground. They were Yu and the others. My dear disciple, I'm your family too. Xing Xian also flew up. Next was the Tantric Masters. Lin Ling's eyes narrowed and his heart warmed. He said, Master, I'm sorry for dragging you into this. Idiot, do you think the spirit state will be fine if we don't help? As a matter of fact, the war between the spirit state and the Heaven Court was inevitable the moment the Heaven Court arrived. Xing Xian came to Lin Ling's side and said with a smile. At this moment, he was even more like Lin Ling's master. Although he couldn't stop the iron hooves of the Heavenly Court, when the wind and waves came, he held up the flag and blocked a piece of the sky. Realm Monarch will help you too. At the same time, loud voices came from the spirit state. All the cultivators looked at the young man in the sky and decided to fight alongside him. Lin Ling glanced at the land and his eyes flickered. He didn't stay in the spirit state for long, but the whole spirit state treated him like their own son. They took care of him and never asked for anything in return. Lin Ling swore that if he failed today, even if he died, he wouldn't drag the spirit state into this. So many people want to die? Lord Martial God, please allow us to fight. Seeing the cultivators of the spirit state joining the battle, the Heaven Court side also exploded with battle intent. Go! Martial God Qilin waved his hand and looked at Lin Ling meaningfully. This was a war without any suspense. He didn't know what Lin Ling was trying to do. In fact, that was what everyone was thinking. Kill! Countless Heaven Court cultivators moved out and unleashed a ferocious aura. There were half-saints and saints among them. Although the spirit state was strong, there weren't many saints. Apart from the Tantric sect, the rest were the saints of the Azure Dragon Hall. However, there were less than 100 saints in total. Therefore, fighting against the Heaven Court was like trying to break a rock with eggs. Why do we need Lord Martial God to take action? We can slaughter all of you. The first person who rushed towards Lin Ling was actually the old man who had escaped from Lin Ling's hands last time. Hee, not bad. Let's see who kills more. The other Heavenly Court experts also sneered. They actually treated this war as a game, a one-sided slaughter game. Seeing this, the spirit state's powerful individuals became serious. They were prepared to explode with all of their strength and fight to the death. It's not our turn to deal with these kittens and puppies. However, at this moment, Lin Ling took a step forward. A huge dragon bow appeared in his hand. He raised his head and shot an arrow toward the north of the spirit province. Like God, heed my command. Summon the infinite and kill the enemy with me. This arrow was like the will of the heavens. To the north of the spirit province, a blinding light exploded. Countless arrows of light shot over in a mighty manner. At this moment, the entire spirit province was shaken. The array was activated. Whoosh! Whoosh! The arrows of light were so terrifying that they could kill gods and Buddhas in their way. In just one exchange, more than half of the half-saints who had rushed out from the Heavenly Court were killed. The old man who had rushed out the fastest did not even have the chance to cry out in pain before he was killed by the arrows of light. Perhaps he only had one thought before he died. I shouldn't have taken the lead. What kind of technique is that? He killed a half-saint with one attack? The people in the distance were shocked. They did not expect the spirit province to have such a strong resistance. The ancient array of the gods, the light god ancient array. Even martial god Qilin's expression changed slightly. He did not expect Lin Ling to know the ancient array from the era of the gods. You have a good eye. At the same time, Lin Ling said calmly. I, martial god Qilin, know everything about the world. Is there anything that I don't know? Although your array is powerful, it's as easy as flipping my hand if I want to break it. Martial god Qilin said disdainfully and waved his hand again. Kill. More and more Heavenly Court's experts moved out. This time, most of them were saints. The people also looked at Lin Ling, wondering how the young realm monarch would deal with the second wave of attacks from the Heavenly Court. I only need to move my feet, and the 9 provinces will tremble. However, Lin Ling placed his hands behind his back and lightly stomped on the ground with his right foot. Rumble. To the west of the Spirit Province, endless flames surged out like tidal waves. This was the godly fire. Its aura was so strong that it even stopped breathing. The flames seemed slow, but in the blink of an eye, they appeared in front of everyone's eyes and burned everything. What kind of fire is this? The Heavenly Court's saints exclaimed. The fire from the era of the gods. You actually obtained a wisp of fire left behind by the infernal god during the battle. This is the light god ancient array. Martial god Qilin frowned upon seeing this. You know a lot, but so what? Lin Ling smirked and waved his left hand again. Walala. As he waved his hand, a gust of wind rose. A storm came from the south of the Spirit Province. It was the godly wind that could blow away one's essence. The Heavenly Court's second wave of attacks was immediately defeated. The saints' faces changed drastically. They were almost unable to withstand the impact of the wind and fire. Heavenly Court, move out. Martial god Qilin remained expressionless. He waved his right hand as well. He didn't believe that a mere spirit province could stop him. More Heavenly Court's experts moved out. Almost half of them had joined the battle. There were even many peak saints that joined the battle. This force was so strong that it could sweep through the entire 9 provinces, let alone the myriad of worlds. Even Lin Ling was shocked. The Heavenly Court had been established for so long that it was beyond his imagination. Mountains like the West suppressed the ages. But soon, Lin Ling waved his right hand again. The earth trembled. Countless ancient mountains appeared out of nowhere and rained down on the Heavenly Court's experts like meteors. This power was the power of the gods. Another godly barrier formation. Martial god Qilin's face turned serious when he saw Lin Ling controlling the wind and clouds with a wave of his hand. He had underestimated this kid. It turned out that he was a powerful barrier master. However, no matter how powerful a barrier was, it couldn't withstand a powerful force. Move out. Martial god Qilin said coldly. 2/3 of the Heavenly Court's experts had moved out. Everyone's expression changed drastically. They didn't expect the seemingly weak spirit province to be so powerful that it could almost clash with the entire Heavenly Court. Even 9 Lantern Fish and Lu Chen were shocked. Martial god Qilin, don't you know a lot? Let's see what's next. Seeing that almost all of the Heavenly Court's experts had moved out, Lin Ling roared again and opened his arms. Stone, only I can use it. Impart it to me. Eugene, only the Supreme. I can't stop. As he opened his arms, the spirit province began to change. It turned into the era of gods. Everyone trembled. They saw an ancient aura from the era of gods spreading out. They saw all kinds of powers from the era of gods. Chapter 3167. The 6 soldiers and 6 armors obliterated the martial ancestor. What? Martial god Qilin also exclaimed. He was already surprised that Lin Ling had set up an ancient divine barrier, but who knew that Lin Ling had set up more than one? Don't you know everything about the gods and the universe? Why are you so surprised now? Lin Ling's long hair fluttered in the wind as he stared coldly at Martial god Qilin. Martial god Qilin frowned and remained silent, because for a moment he couldn't see through all of Lin Ling's array formations. On the other hand, there were countless casualties in the Heavenly Court. All the half-Saint Realm cultivators had perished, and 1/3 of the Saint Realm experts had perished as well. This Buddha-slaughtering array was truly terrifying. Can we really go against the Heavenly Court? The Vajrayana and the others were trembling with fear. The scene before their eyes had far exceeded their imaginations. Martial ancestors, all of you, break the formation with brute force. However, Martial god Qilin launched his final attack and summoned the martial progenitor. As for the Heavenly Court's martial ancestor realm experts, there were more than 1,000 of them. Defeated, we're definitely going to lose this time. Although Lin Ling's divine array was shocking, what happened next made many people shake their heads. Martial ancestor. That was an unimaginable realm. It could be said that any martial ancestor was strong enough to become the god emperor of the 9 prefectures. Martial ancestor. On the tantric sect's side, the faces of the experts turned pale. They knew that without Lin Ling's formation, a single martial progenitor could easily slaughter them all. It doesn't matter what kind of formation it is, or what kind of god power it is, Yang Qi said. In primal chaos, strength is everything. You can call the wind and summon the rain, and change everything. Lin Ling, watch as the heavenly court destroys your formation. Martial god Qilin let out a roar after the martial progenitor realm experts made their move. So what if you're a martial ancestor? If you enter my Lin Ling's territory, even a god will die. However, Lin Ling raised his foot high and stomped down heavily. 6 soldiers, 6 armor. Rumble. Terrifying whirlpools appeared in the sky and swept out from the ground. The ancient Noah's divine ark appeared and swam majestically. Then, its surface began to peel off and turned into countless golden stones. It actually shot towards Lord Tantric and the others. Lin Ling, what is this? The expressions of the Tantric sages changed as they asked anxiously. There's no need to panic. I've cast the godboat's defense on you. This is the Liujia god. Go and fight. Lin Ling looked straight ahead and said calmly. Ka. The golden rocks shot over and eventually turned into ancient golden armor on the bodies of the Tantric sect masters. Each armor was covered with complicated enchantments and had a terrifying defense. Een Dragon emerges, defying heaven and earth. 6 weapons appear. This wasn't the end. Lin Ling's hands flew, and he instantly unleashed 1 billion enchantments. Moreover, he didn't stop there. Looking at Lin Ling's unpredictable movements, all the cultivators in the 9 provinces had their horizons broadened. Never would I have expected that child to possess such frightening world spirit techniques. Could it be that his backer is God Miao's true inheritance? An old man said solemnly. To be able to fight against the heavenly court with the strength of a half-sage for such a long time, who else in the 9 provinces could do it? Die! However, the heavenly court's martial ancestors were confident in their strength and were not afraid of Lin Ling at all. However, a gigantic Een Dragon's soul began to appear in the sky. The Een Dragon circled around the spirit province and sprinkled down endless light. What's going on? My power. Oh no, I feel weaker and weaker. Leave this place. The martial progenitor realm experts soon blurted out in shock. Their cultivation levels were continuously suppressed, and they were also absorbed by a mysterious power and disappeared from the spirit province. They discovered that as long as they stepped into the spirit province, the mysterious power would exist. On the Tantric sect's side, many of them were wearing the Liujia god armor. However, they soon felt a powerful force being born. Those who were originally saints instantly reached the peak of the saint stage. He was originally a half-step saint realm expert, but he had reached the saint realm. This caused all of them to be greatly shocked. Let's fight. On the other hand, Lin Ling was used to it because this was the power of the ancient formation of 6 soldiers and 6 armor gods. It could forcibly steal the enemy's strength and enhance it on its own people. Moreover, the foundation of this formation was the ancient tree of Panyu Mountain, which could provide endless vitality. As for the core of the formation, it was Noah's Ark, which also provided an extremely strong defense. In other words, in order to set up the ancient formation of gods, Lin Ling had spent all his time and treasures. Of course, although the formation was powerful, it also had a flaw. That was the continuous consumption of royal crystals, and the consumption was extremely large. Moreover, it would take a month to deactivate the formation and activate it again. This was also the reason why Lin Ling had come so late. Kill. Ha, I've become a saint. Let's fight. The Tantric sect's people were filled with fighting spirit, especially Yu, Sakura, and the others. Their blood was boiling. This was because they had become saints. Although this was only temporary, it was enough for them to test out this powerful force. Hung Long. On the other hand, the Heaven Court's experts were greatly weakened. After the Tantric sect's experts made their move, they were immediately defeated, and their cries filled the sky. This was especially true for those martial ancestor-level experts. They were the most furious. Since when had they ever been chased by a saint-level expert? Time slowly passed, and blood continued to rain down from the sky. The Heaven Court's experts were also decreasing. No one had thought that this one-sided slaughter would take a 180-degree turn, and they were being slaughtered instead. Martial God Qilin, you know the gods above and the universe below. Can you see through my formation? Lin Ling placed his hands behind his back and looked at Martial God Qilin calmly. He did not participate in the battle, as if he was the real realm monarch fighting against the Heaven Court's strongest. How is this possible? Martial God Qilin shook his head. He couldn't understand these formations at all. After all, he had obtained most of Ghost Genius Li Xiaoyao's heritage. How could there be anything in the 9 continents that he didn't know? In front of me, you are just a country bumpkin, Lin Ling said again. His words were well-deserved. No matter how many things Martial God Qilin knew, they were all taught by Li Xiaoyao. Now that the real Li Xiaoyao was here, how could Martial God Qilin compete with him? Let me tell you, this is the 9 gods' ancient Su array. It summons the power of the 9 gods from the era of gods to cross the endless time and space to kill the enemies. Lin Ling's voice was like thunder, shaking the Heaven Court, the 9 continents, and Martial God Qilin. Summon the power of the 9 gods from the era of gods to cross the endless time and space? What a mysterious formation. An old man in the 9 continents mumbled to himself. To be able to summon the power of the gods from the dead time, this was already the means of the gods. Lord Martial God, save me. Meanwhile, the Heaven Court's experts in the formation were dwindling. They cried out weakly, begging for Martial God Qilin's help. All right, thank you for opening my eyes. I'm even more curious about your background now. I will know who you are. Chapter 3168. What a terrifying martial god expert. The demeanor of a martial god was not to be humiliated. No matter what kind of divine formation it would definitely not be able to stop the martial god. This scene also made the experts of the 9 regions look forward to it. Bang! Martial God Qilin didn't do anything, but he appeared in the middle of the formation in just a single step. He raised his eyebrows and summoned countless giant drums behind him. At this moment, he was like a god of thunder. Selfless thunder god physique. Lin Ling's eyes also became serious. He knew very well that it was an existence similar to the ultimate desolate body. Without me, there was no heaven, and all things were indestructible. This kind of powerful talent was also cultivated by Li Xiaoyao in the past. However, he later obtained the primal chaos divine formula, so he gave up on this powerful lightning body. Swoosh! Martial God Qilin swung his arm, and a lightning saber appeared. The chaos in the universe was cut open, and the sky above the spirit state was torn apart. Rumble! The 9 ancient gods' formation began to tremble, and the formation became unstable. So strong. The expressions of the Vajrayana sect's masters changed drastically. Previously, the martial progenitors had joined the battle, but they were unable to break the formation. However, as soon as Martial God Qilin arrived, he was able to shatter the formation with a casual strike. All of you move out. With Noah's Ark, you will not die. Lin Ling's expression was unprecedentedly serious. Good. Master Tantra and the others immediately pounced on Martial God Qilin. At this moment, Martial God Qilin was like a giant. His long hair and robes had turned into lightning. It was as if he was looking down on the world. Die, you ants! The thunder drum behind him sounded, as if it was summoning 10,000 bolts of lightning. Pop! Pop! Before Lord Tantra and the others could even get close, they were swept away by the terrifying lightning and were all sent flying. If not for the fact that they were wearing the armor of the god of 6 armors, they would have been killed instantly. Although Martial God Qilin's attacks seemed to have landed on Tantra and the others, they actually landed on Noah's divine ark, causing the ancient divine ark to sway. Therefore, when the Tantric sages saw that he was safe and sound, they rushed forward again. 6 gods Gusu. At the same time, Lin Ling also pushed the formation to the limit. All kinds of forces, including the masters of the Tantric Buddhism, were suppressing Martial God Qilin. Rumble! The sound was deafening, and the entire 9 prefectures seemed to be shaken by it. Martial God Qilin was also engulfed by all kinds of powerful energies. The crowd was astonished. Was the martial god going to die today? This brat really has a lot of tricks up his sleeve. The 9-lantern fish, Lu Chun, and the others all smiled excitedly and looked forward to it. The remaining members of the heavenly court were all pale and shaking their heads as if they could not believe what they were seeing. Is this your trump card? Too weak. However, at this moment, heaven and earth exploded and ferocious lightning erupted. Swords of lightning shot out, piercing through the void and deeply embedded themselves into Noah's divine ark. Then, a giant covered in lightning appeared. It was martial god Chilin. At this moment, he had truly become the god of thunder. He was telling everyone what it meant to be a god. No way. The power that can kill endless martial progenitor has no effect on martial god Chilin. At this moment, everyone could be said to be shocked when they saw martial god Chilin descend once more. If you think you can defeat him with this trick, then you should wake up from your dream, myriad lightning. Martial god Chilin roared again. Endless lightning rain smashed down from the sky, causing the array to sway and continue to shatter. Looking at the Noah's divine ark again, the heart of the array was also cracked. Even the ancient ark left behind by a god could not stop martial god Chilin's attack. The swords of lightning were like awls that kept piercing into the divine Arkansas. Some of them were cutting out large amounts of golden stones. Even the divine ark can't stop it. As for the masters of the Tantra sect, they were all swept away by the lightning storm and were sent flying. However, they could not care less about themselves. Instead, they looked ahead in shock. Endless lightning continued to destroy God's ancient array. It seemed that it was only a matter of time before the huge God's ancient array was broken. Brother Ling, hurry up and do something. Yu hurriedly looked at Lin Ling and shouted worriedly. They were able to fight against the heaven court because of God's ancient array. If the ancient array was broken, even a martial ancestor could slaughter them, let alone martial god Chilin. Haha, now you know fear. Lord Martial God, breaking the array with brute force, mighty and mighty. The remaining heaven court cultivators' morale was greatly boosted. They could not help but roar at the sky. Rumble. Ka. The ancient array was like a city wall that continued to collapse. However, Lin Ling stood on the same spot with a solemn expression. He did not say a word. Instead, he kept forming barriers with his hands. From the looks of it, he seemed to be constantly repairing the spirit formation. However, compared to martial god Chilin's destruction, his repairing speed was like a drop in the ocean. This made the people shake their heads regretfully. They knew that the situation was hopeless. What a pity. If the realm monarch did not offend the martial god, he would have been able to break the array with just a few people in the 9 prefectures. However, the martial god is still stronger than the godly array. No matter what, today's battle will spread across the 9 prefectures. Many people sighed and said, this battle had obviously exceeded their expectations, and it had even greatly broadened their horizons. Rumble. The ancient array was still collapsing. Heaven and earth seemed to be shrinking, allowing the tantric sect cultivators to get closer to Lin Ling. Run. Let's see where you can run to. Seeing this, the heaven court cultivators became even more arrogant. They looked at martial god Chilin again. He had a cold smile on his face as he continued to attack the array with all his might. As for the boundaries that Lin Ling kept casting, the effect was getting weaker and weaker. In the end, the array was only 1,000 miles wide. It was filled with people from the spirit state. Like a trapped beast, death was only a matter of an instant. I will kill everyone in the spirit state. Then, I will know where you came from. Martial god Chilin said indifferently as he looked at Lin Ling and the others who were powerless to fight back. As soon as he finished speaking, he reached out his hand. Endless thunder roared as a thunderstorm flooded the spirit state. Sigh, we can't escape in the end? The tantric sect cultivators let out a long sigh as they looked at the terrifying thunder outside the array. But it's enough. At least I've killed a lot of people from the heaven court. Xing Xiao Yun laughed in an extremely heroic manner. You're right. I've also killed 2 martial progenitors. The tantric sect cultivators laughed when they heard this. Then, the 4 heavenly kings looked at each other and could not help but laugh as well. Then, the martial artists of the spirit state also laughed loudly. Although they were all going to die, at least they had killed almost 80% of the heaven court's elites. It was enough to be proud of. Haha. The laughter continued to spread, causing the people in the distance to tremble. At the same time, the heaven court cultivators were enraged. These damned ants. As for martial god Chilin, his face turned cold. Keep laughing. I'll make sure you won't be able to laugh anymore. He immediately urged his lightning to become even more ferocious. He was going to sweep away these damned ants. Let's go out and fight. It's better to die in battle than to wait for death. After laughing, the tantric sect cultivators began to prepare for the final battle of their lives. Wait. Chapter 3169. The Final Blow. At this moment, the tantric sages looked at Lin Ling, not understanding why Lin Ling stopped them. Martial god Qilin was also looking at Lin Ling, but the sneer on his face deepened. Was Lin Ling finally going to reveal his identity before his death? As for the martial artists of the 9 prefectures, they also believed that the situation was hopeless. Perhaps Lin Ling wanted to beg for mercy. Under countless gazes, Lin Ling's expression was unprecedentedly solemn. A few words floated out of his mouth. The spell formation isn't over yet. As soon as he said that, the expressions of the tantric masters changed drastically. It hasn't ended yet? Martial god Qilin frowned as well. The formation had been shattered by him, but Lin Ling said that it wasn't over yet? This must be a lie. That's right. Lin Ling was setting up a smoke bomb and looking for an opportunity to escape. A thought flashed through martial god Qilin's mind. This was not because he was looking down on Lin Ling, but because no matter how powerful a formation was, there was still a limit. A formation that could threaten the martial god level was rarely seen in the current 9 prefectures, and it only appeared in the era of the gods. Just as he was about to speak, Lin Ling's howl had already rung out. The great array of the 9 gods, the final formation, the chief god returns. Lin Ling raised his arm high. His eyes were filled with the flames of revenge. He had been waiting for this moment for a long time. In truth, all the previous attacks had been for this moment. It could even be said that this was the true 9 ancient Su gods array. This was using lightning to break lightning. Lin Ling was aiming for martial god Qilin's innate talent and skill. The more martial god Qilin attacked the formation, the more lightning energy the formation would absorb. The sky suddenly quieted down, and an oppressive aura filled the air. The array formation that was originally 1,000 miles wide began to emit cracking sounds, and it actually began to spread out like dark clouds. The array formation began to recover. What? Everyone was aware of this scene, and their eyes were wide open. Could it be that Lin Ling still had a final attack? Even martial god Qilin sensed the danger. After all, he had turned a blind eye to everything after entering the god formation. But this time, he finally felt a chill in his heart. What the hell is this? Rumble. The thunderstorm in the spirit continent began to change. It was gathering toward Lin Ling. It was no longer under martial god Qilin's control. Whoosh. Whoosh. At the same time, the ancient swords that were constantly cutting Noah's divine arc shot out and hovered above Lin Ling's head. Could it be? Martial god Qilin began to speculate when he saw this. Could it be that the entire formation was a trap? Everything was set up so that martial god Qilin could unleash his full strength to attack the formation. And in the end, the formation would absorb all of martial god Qilin's strength and give him a fatal blow. 9 deities, 9 deities. That's right, not all 9 deities had descended in the previous spell formation. There was still one deity hiding. Martial god Qilin finally collected his thoughts. He looked at Lin Ling sternly, as if the young man in the distance knew everything about him, including his weaknesses and strengths. At that instant, he was even more eager to know who Lin Ling was. You can die now. Meanwhile, the lightning in the sky finally gathered and turned into a giant lightning pillar. A large number of swords were weaving in and out of the lightning. As Lin Ling pointed his finger forward, the lightning pillar shot toward martial god Qilin. The lightning pillar was like the tribulation of gods. Show me the final attack of the god formation. Martial god Qilin's eyes squinted. Lightning roared and spun wildly around his body. He disappeared on the spot and turned into a bolt of lightning that collided with the dazzling lightning pillar. Crack! Crack! However, martial god Qilin soon realized that something was not right. It was fine if he did not make his move, but as soon as he made his move, all of his lightning energy was absorbed. On the other hand, the lightning pillar in the distance grew bigger. It was like the lightning of God's punishment was descending toward him. Before it even got close, martial god Qilin spat out a mouthful of blood, and his face turned extremely pale. This array formation was indeed designed to restrain him, and it was an all-around restraint. Retreat! Retreat! Martial god Qilin immediately let out a roar and tried to leave the array. It's too late to leave now. Retreat! Lin Ling's body was also filled with electric snakes and thunder, but his fighting spirit was boiling. The grudges of 2 lifetimes, the fetters of 2 lifetimes, were finally coming to an end at this moment. As for the martial artists of 9 prefectures, they felt as if they had been struck by lightning. Was he going to destroy the god today? Ah, retreat. In the next moment, the crowd saw martial god Qilin being entangled by the lightning pillar and crying out in pain. Drops of blood fell from the sky, but they were soon swept away by the lightning. It seemed like it was only a matter of time before martial god Qilin died. This was the real god-slaying strike. The selfless lightning god physique, no self, no heaven. However, it was obviously suppressed by Lin Ling. This was because Lin Ling was very familiar with the weakness of this talent. The best way to defeat it was to fight poison with poison. Father, be careful. Father. However, at this moment, a deep voice suddenly exploded. In the distant sky, a huge finger slowly shot over. The size of the finger was comparable to Noah's divine Arkansas. The power of the finger was mixed with a terrifying destructive force. When it pressed down, it absorbed endless lightning. It significantly reduced the damage that martial god Qilin was suffering. Thump! Thump! Meanwhile, the sound of a heartbeat was heard across the spirit continent. The illusionary image of a giant emerald heart appeared in the sky of the spirit continent. It's here. Father. Lin Ling clenched his teeth when he saw the giant heart. He was not surprised by it at all. He assumed that the person would show up when martial god Qilin was about to face the tribulation of life and death. That being said, even though he had already guessed it, he still chose to fight to the death as he did not want to miss the best chance to kill martial god Qilin. Lin Ling knew who the person was. As a matter of fact, when he saw the giant emerald heart, he knew it was the ancient supreme heart, which was Li Xiaoyao's flesh. The person was one of the 3 disciples of the Tian clan, martial god Qilin's son, Tianwengu. Tianwengu, save me. Tianwengu. Martial god Qilin immediately raised his head and said as the pressure that he was under decreased significantly. Father, I'll save you, but who is he? Tianwengu. A deep voice with a hint of astonishment came from the sky. It was obvious that the person did not expect the formation that a half-martial sacred realm expert had set up to pose a threat to a martial god. His name is Lin Ling. Tianwengu. Martial god Qilin immediately said. Lin Ling, right? I'll remember you. I'll find you in no time. Tianwengu. It was obvious that the person was not here. He was somewhere far away. As such, the giant emerald heart loomed over martial god Qilin and flew into the distance like a ray of light. I failed. Tianwengu. Lin Ling clenched his fists seeing this. He knew that strength was the only thing that mattered in the world rift. He might be able to rely on the formation for a while, but it was not a long-term solution. Lin Ling, the people of the Heaven Court won't forgive you. Tianwengu. You're tuning in to the Blimei's Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.